Tim.
Yeah?
You're here to tell me about Crunchyroll.
I am. This episode of PS I Love You XOXO is brought to you by Crunchyroll. You can sign up to get a free Crunchyroll premium trial over at crunchyroll.com/kindoffunny. And guess what, Greg?
What's that, Tim?
If people do that, they can then go to youtube.com/kindoffunny and look up our watch-alongs where me and Nick watch anime with you. We did one where we watched the first episodes of Kill la Kill and Yuri on Ice.
Right.
And the music video Shelter. Awesome.
Okay.
Then we did Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, and that was a pleasure. It was the unrated version, so there was some fun parts. Anyway, crunchyroll.com/kindoffunny. You get the free Crunchyroll premium trial, which gets you 1080p HD anime.
Some
simulcast
episodes.
stuff. You get
hours after they air in Japan.
Yes, exactly. Up to an hour.
Up to an hour.
Yeah, after they air in Japan. And in addition to that, you can watch all the new ones. Dragon Ball Super, Yuri on Ice, all that stuff. You can watch them on your PS4, your Xbox, your laptop,
iPads.
your iPads, whatever it is. It's all over the place. It's great. Crunchyroll's cool. Crunchyroll.com/kindoffunny. Check it out. And then watch our watch-alongs because they're cool too.
Now, what were the unrated sexy parts?
Oh, Chun-Li in the shower.
No fucking way.
Yeah, and then she fights Vega. It's
Naked?
a classic, Greg. Yeah. Well, yeah, she was naked. You'll see.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to PSI Love You XOXO episode 65. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the pride of Long Island, the Long Island rattlesnake himself, Colin Moriarty.
It's good to be here with you today.
It's good to be here with you today as well. You got one clap from Kev. Just that's all I can muster.
Thank you, Kevin.
That's all I can muster here as we approach the end of 2016.
Appreciate you.
How you holding up, Colin Moriarty?
Tired, man. I'm ready to go on break.
Yeah, break's right around the corner for us.
I know, it is.
Super
It's
exciting.
a crazy week, though.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the first of 9 shows we have to record, right? Or 8, actually, because we recorded one on Friday.
Right. So if you're catching up, what we're doing is Colin and Greg live every morning as per usual, then in the afternoon, the podcast as per usual, and then an additional podcast to make sure that you, listener and or viewer, never have to go a day while we're on break for 2 weeks without your normally scheduled program, whether it be the Game Over Greggy Show, PS I Love You XOXO, or the Games Cast. Colin and Greg live, go fuck yourself. We're not doing those. There's no way to do a live product when we're gone. What are you doing on break?
Yeah, a little something in the throat there.
Getting choked up? Thinking about not seeing me for 2 weeks? Getting you a little sad?
Can't wait for that.
Getting you a little sad?
And staying in Quebec as long as you want. Gonna go to Cabo for a few days, and then
San Lucas.
That's the full name.
Yeah.
On the Baja Peninsula there, right? Baja, California.
You eat some Baja shrimp tacos?
I doubt it.
Okay.
All inclusive. Little beachside resort.
Sure. You can come back tan?
Maybe.
You got your swim trunks all set?
Not yet.
Okay.
Nope.
You gonna buy new ones?
Yeah. Got to fit my bulbous body now.
Okay.
Well, you can say I'm bulbous
I was getting ready to see where you're going with that one. These swim trunks on your bulbous.
So they're going to do that for a few days, and then we get back, I don't know, I'm gone Sunday to Thursday or something, and then that gives me a week and a half to just relax, and that's what I'm going to do, play some games and read and write and, fondle myself and pet Lola.
Yeah, of course. Fondle and pet at the same time, right?
Oh,
one hand here, one hand there.
That's a little disturbing. I don't know if I'd go that far.
Just letting you know.
I like to multitask,
there's
so
options
you never
there.
know.
Yeah, you got things to do.
And then we come back in January. So that's basically it.
Yeah.
How about yourself there?
Yeah, up to Montreal, and I'm doing that Saturday right away. Getting the hell out of here, go up there.
You're going this Saturday?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know you were going so quick.
Up and out, man, yeah. And then I'm up there through the 28th, I think, and then I'm going to New Orleans with Jen to meet up with Eric Castro and Amelia, party there, hang out. And yeah, in the time in between all that, playing games, Vita stuff, bringing my PS4 with me, of course. Can't miss anything. We got our Stardew Valley codes. I'm excited to try that, see if it sticks. I want to make sure I can play it.
I wonder how much you're actually going to play this holidays. Probably not much. That's okay though. It's good to not play sometimes.
Yeah. I don't see why I wouldn't. There's plenty of downtime, just chilling out, hanging out, living.
That's what you do when you're with your girlfriend. You just play video games and she watches.
At some point, yeah. At some point. Well, I mean, she plays games too. I don't have to worry about
she
watching her
play games.
No.
The interesting thing about this is that I wish I had more time off. There's quite a few games to get to,
sure.
But I'm slowly narrowing down and whittling down the list. I'm gonna try to use this time wisely and get through a few games because I was looking at my trophies and I've played a lot of games this year.
Yeah.
Like way more than I played last year. And so I'm happy where I'm at, but there's a few boxes I need to tick off.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's about getting back to certain things. This weekend, I got back to Song of the Deep, polished that off and 100%ed it, but I was mainly I hadn't beat it. You know what I mean? I enjoyed it for that weekend and then moved on. Right at the list behind that now is Ratchet and Clank, where I had a fucking hell of a time. It's on my, it's one of those, I have the top 10 games of the year that I've played, right? Ratchet's on there. Song of the Deep is on there. I felt
really
inappropriate, for me not to have beaten them. So now I got to try to get over and commit to Ratchet. But now we got Stardew. Now we got the Batman episode tomorrow. It's a tight week with content to begin with. A lot of things going on how I'm going to get in there.
The only game that would be in my top 10 list right now that I haven't beaten was Doom. And I got like absurdly far in it. I don't know why I stopped. Something must have happened. We must have gone somewhere.
Yeah.
Because I think there's like 12 or 14 chapters or something. I want to say there was like 2 left.
Gotcha.
And I was playing it. I was getting everything, every collectible, every challenge done and stuff like that. And then I don't know what happened where I stopped, but that's the only one I really feel like I should get back to. Other than that, it's going to be a series of games that I've that I haven't played yet. I think I'm going to be spending a lot of time on PSVR. And because I got back to Hitman Go a couple days ago on Vita and almost done with that. And then I 100%ed Letter Quest remastered on Vita, which I can't believe didn't have a platinum, but I got all the trophies in that nonetheless and beat it. And then I've been playing Hitman, like the real Hitman, just the intro level, and then Paris. I played it for 5 or 6 hours. And what I said on Colin Live, which was fascinating, was that my girlfriend is like crazy about Hitman, like the real Hitman. Stayed up like all night Friday night, all night Saturday night, just playing it. It was interesting.
Out of the ordinary, not a game you'd pick usually for Erin.
Yeah, I don't know. She's really into it. So I'd like to get back and spend time with that. I understand why people, as I said, I think maybe not on this show, but it's on some point on some show to someone.
Yeah.
I said that was the game this year that people had recommended to me the most, and by far. And I'd like to, I was trying to pay, heed to that. And I think it's a very good game. I don't know that I'm in love with it, but
sure.
The fine presentational polish on it that I think is pretty cool. And even though the map is the same, there's like a cool little kind of meta game there where bunch of different ways to go through the missions, bunch of different ways to kill everyone, get in and out. There's an experience system based on what you do. I think it's kind of neat, and I like the I'm coming around a little bit on this episodic approach.
Oh, really?
Just in the sense, I think it makes more sense for this than it does for the Telltale game, simply because like there's so much to do on this one map. You're done with a Telltale episode in 2 hours, and that's it.
Yeah.
You could conceivably play the Paris map for 20 hours. So I think
just finding all the different intricacies.
It's like its own game.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I like it. I don't have any attachment to Agent 47 at all. In fact, I was saying, I don't know how long this particular person has been voicing Agent 47, but I'm not crazy about the voice.
Really?
But the woman, like the handler, I like her. Good voice acting. The story's interesting. And I like how they tie in the 6 episodes in the episodic approach to like the Sarajevo 6 and this idea that you have to kill all these guys.
Sure.
So it's pretty cool. I'm excited, and then we have Final Fantasy 15 and The Last Guardian, although I don't think I'll go back to either of them. I mean, I'm definitely not going back to The Last Guardian. Final Fantasy 15, I think is more likely. Maybe I'll just start it again. There's something on your shirt. It looks like don't touch it. It looks like a sunflower, like a piece of a sunflower seed.
No, it's an M&M.
An M&M.
Okay. M&M there. We got Rice Krispie treats.
There you go.
From Alexis Pence. I was eating one of those.
Did she take Hunter's name?
Mm-hmm. Well, at least on Twitter. I don't know if that. I mean,
just when I think I figured out how to say her last name, she moves on to a very
Kazambalidis.
That she moves on to the most basic of last names.
Good for her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As Trump America begins, she definitely needs to hide. Mm-hmm. Everybody who has a vaguely epic name,
the wall just got 10
everybody's
got
to go hide. Yeah. I mean, my Hitman, in terms of a game that people have recommended that I need to try, is Dishonored 2. I'm going to take that with me. I don't think I'm going to get to start it before I take leave and head to the Great White North. So when I do that, I'll bring it with me.
Take your leave, Greg.
I will.
Please do.
I will take my leave.
And yeah, Stardew Valley, obviously, tomorrow. Game's got great buzz.
Exactly.
Darkest Dungeon's another one. I don't know
where I'm going to go. That's the problem. Did you start Bard's Gold or whatever either?
No, I mean that game's been out for a while, but I have.
It's on Vita now, so it's a real game.
Yeah. What's going on with me here?
You keep talking. I'm still talking to you. I'm gonna grab my Vita.
The Robinson the Journey. Got to get to that.
Have you heard positive things about it?
Yeah, I heard it's a little samey, but it's that should be interesting. And
I know Kevin was saying he got sick playing it. That was one.
Well, Kevin's a bitch.
Kevin is a bitch.
So what?
Come here. Tell me about Robinson the Journey. It's on our list of things we need to play during the break, but
I'm a what?
Look how tough he is. Like, oh, like kisses.
Little smooch.
Yeah.
By the way, check it out. Fucked up my beard.
If you're listening at home, Colin shaved his beard, but shaved a patch of it.
He's got like a twirl here,
He's
too.
got a divot in there.
Fucked up right now. Anyway, tell us about Robinson.
The game looks beautiful.
Yeah.
15 minutes of playing got me more nauseous than I've ever been from like motion sickness.
Yeah.
And it was fun, but I couldn't stay in that world.
Yeah. That's no good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was really cool, and I hope that someone figures out movement soon.
I hope so too. Thank you, Kevin.
So yeah, my Vita, I got Darkest Dungeon and then I need to do. I got Hue. I want to keep playing Neon Chrome.
Hugh's one of them.
Bard's Gold. Color Guardians, that free PS Plus game, but somebody was like, you need to play it. It actually is fun. I'm like, all right, I'll try it out. So I got that in there. Also, somebody, for a Gamescast topic,
Did you start any of these up?
had written in. Sorry?
I'm sorry. Did you start any of these up yet that you were talking about? There was something I wanted to see.
Go ahead and look at it. I don't know. Some
Well,
of them
I don't want to open up a.
I mean, the ones I just, other than Neon Chrome, I don't think any of the ones I just mentioned have been started on this Vita.
Okay.
The Necro Dancer game. Somebody wrote into the Gamescast.
Oh, right,
and there was another game of
Dancer or what is it?
It's
Crypt of the Necro
Crypt
Dancer.
of the Necro Dancer. Wrote in that was one of the topics he wants. He wanted us all to play it. I'm like, that ain't gonna fly.
We're
Nobody's
not
got
doing
time.
a fucking topic on Crypt of the Necro Dancer, but maybe we'll try it out. I haven't
I'm
actually
gonna try
heard
it. That's my thing.
I've heard a few good things.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't want to
exactly.
bite off more than I can chew. I really do
I
want to
know.
spend. I feel like I've neglected PSVR significantly, and I feel like that's got to be my priority.
Sure. Yeah, I had friends visiting from Missouri. We were drunk last night, came home, we're sitting there drinking more beers, talking about that, and they brought up VR, and if I thought it was the future, I was like, do you want to try it? And they're like, sure, and they put it on, and they both were like, holy fucking shit, this is awesome.
I think I left my headset in the living room.
You did, yeah, we have two headsets in the living room right now.
Well, how do you tell them apart?
Well, mine was in the box, it hadn't been put together, and so
But how do you now tell them apart?
Because mine's over to the side, your base station is charging the move wands. Mine is not. Okay. So there you go. That's how.
That's good to know.
I'm on top of it.
I don't care personally. You're more finicky about that than I am.
About what?
Huh?
About what?
Sharing the headset.
You were already talking about. You're the one who doesn't want to share the headset
In public. You're the one who got mad at me when other people use. Yeah, you did.
No, I did not get mad.
Yeah, you did. You got a little mad.
I did
You got a
not
little
get
upset. That's okay.
I did not get mad.
It's all right. You got a little upset. It's fine.
Now I'm getting upset.
It's not a big
Big
deal.
George is getting upset.
Not a big deal. You got a little upset. So yeah, that's basically, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Let's fucking get this show on the road.
So we can immediately do another one. Jump right back into another one.
I know. It's gonna be a busy time, and then I got to go meet Andrew tonight for dinner.
Goldfarb.
Mm-hmm.
Garfet. Mm-hmm. He always regrets fucking elderly people. Where are you gonna go? Where are you taking Andrew Goldfarb?
Hops and Hominy.
Oh, okay.
Because it's right there by IGN.
Sure. You're gonna eat some of that cornbred.
Likely.
You gonna get that mac and cheese?
It's probable.
Gonna get some fried chicken?
I don't know. I was thinking about carbonara, and a little, it's a little something, a little cheesy, a little creamy.
Sure. Okay.
But there's a lot of options. They have decent cocktails.
Would you say that all options are on the table?
I would say that. I would say that all options continue to be on the table. So, which is basically like saying all options are on the table.
Sure. Yeah. That's about right.
So,
if you didn't know, this is PSI Love You XOXO. It is kindoffunny.com's PlayStation podcast. So go there, keep the mics on by subscribing to the YouTube channels, listening to their podcast, rating us all across the world, using soundcloud.com/PSI Love You XOXO.
rating us all across the world.
Everywhere. There's just so many things to rate us on now. If you didn't know, it's the #1 PlayStation podcast in the world, all because of your support. Thank you for that. And thank you for your insane support at PlayStation Experience. You guys came out, thousands of you in that one room to watch us be a bunch of morons up there on the stage. Very, very grateful for your support. Thank you to David Jaffe. Thank you to the Horizon team. Thank you to Shuhei Yoshida for all coming out and being a part of that panel. Thank you to the translator over there who's signing furiously as we talked about pooping into urinals. Don't forget that PSI Love You XOXO posts every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. So subscribe there or pick us up on a podcast service around the globe. Colin, let's start the show with what is and forever will be Roper's Report. Time for some singular possessive news.
There are 10 items on the list.
A baker's dozen.
That was a little overly aggressive. Let's see. Number 1, PlayStation 4 wasn't only the best-selling console in the United States for the month of November, breaking Xbox One's multi-month streak. It also has officially passed the 50 million sold mark, with 369.6 million games sold across all 50 million consoles, good enough for an attach rate of 7.4. Pretty strong. At 50 million units sold, PlayStation 4 has officially passed Super Nintendo's lifetime sales of 49.1 million sold. It sits in 12th place in gaming hardware sold all time, behind Nintendo 3DS and the NES, both sitting at 62 million sold apiece. If only counting consoles and not handhelds, PlayStation 4 is now the 7th best-selling console ever. It's worth noting that 3 of the 6 above it are PlayStation consoles.
Nice.
So should be fine. I think PS4 will reach 100 million.
And where will that leave it then in the list?
That would leave it around PS1, so just behind Wii and PS2.
Gotcha.
Wii is about like 102, so that's passable too. PS2 is untouchable, but I think that you can get to 100 million.
Yeah. I mean, the way they continue to sell, right? The way people continue to care.
Mm-hmm. Number 2.
Number 2.
The New York Post is reporting that Sony may put its struggling movie business in the same family as the booming PlayStation. Sony Pictures Entertainment may come under the control of PlayStation head Andrew House, according to the paper, quote, gaining oversight but likely not daily control of the studio, end quote. Sony told the paper, quote, this is nothing but baseless rumor and speculation. There are no plans for Andrew House to oversee Sony Pictures, end quote. However, the paper's source notes, quote, there is talk that they're going to merge Sony Pictures Entertainment with PlayStation, end quote. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Sony is denying it, but companies deny a lot of things.
Seems interesting. I mean, Andrew House obviously makes sense for PlayStation business because he's been around it for so long. Movie business, would it work? You know what I mean?
The movie, so I was reading a little bit about Sony Pictures. They're in 5th place in box office draw this year and losing money, I think. So, as opposed to PlayStation, which I think alone had operating revenue of $250 million or so dollars.
Sure.
So for the quarter. So that's great.
It's the same song and dance, right? Where PlayStation has been delivering for Sony for a long time while the other arms of the business continue
Not
to
too
fail.
long. I mean, it was hurting for a long time.
Sure.
But recently, it's the only thing that Sony does right. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll watch that as it marinates.
How long ago did they turn it around? I thought it was...
in terms of profit?
Yeah.
I want to say like 6 quarters ago.
Okay.
Maybe. I mean, someone else would know better than I think they were still hurting and taking losses even when PS4 came out, I think.
Okay.
But I could be wrong. Number 3. Square Enix is planning plenty of post-launch support for Final Fantasy 15 in addition to the expansions that have already been announced. The game's director, Hajime Tabata, outlined free updates that will roll out over the next year in order to make the experience better. Here's what he says, quote, our early plans are to enrich certain aspects of the game, adding gameplay enhancements for Chapter 13, buffing ring magic, etc. We'll have the specifics on what and when for you at a later date. After that, we are hoping to delve deeper into the story, adding scenes that will give you new insight into character motivations, such as why Ravis walked the path he did. We will need a little more time with these, as they'll need to be localized and voiced in other languages, but we'll let you know the details once everything is set. For the long term, we are looking at making certain key characters playable and even considering the possibility of customizable avatars, in addition to other features over time. Other features we have in mind include letting you carry over stats from a previous playthrough and adding items that introduce new playstyles, such as low-level runs and God mode. We are also examining readability tweaks, increasing font size for certain languages. On top of that, we're looking at content you can enjoy in real time, including new bosses with exclusive rewards and achievements, and limited time hunts. End quote.
Ooh. Does anything for you?
No.
Sharon 98 says, hi, Colin and Greg.
Hello.
You guys talked about Final Fantasy 15 and it not being a complete game today on Colin and Greg Live. What are your thoughts on Game of the Year editions or complete editions of games? They are the definitive version of the game, and devs often add levels and developer diaries to make it seem worth it, yet nobody seems to care about that. What's the difference here? Have a good day, Sharon.
I think the difference is clear. Like the Fallout, well, Skyrim, let's use Skyrim as an example.
Sure.
Skyrim Special Edition came to the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One this fall. It has obviously tweaks and runs better and looks better, which is fine, but what it really has that makes it Game of the Year Edition is all of the DLC. So that's the difference. This is supposed to be the final game in addition to the DLC packs they've already, and like booster packs and all that kind of stuff they already announced. So I think there is a major difference. I think that Final Fantasy 15 seems to have been released in a state of somewhat, people get mad at me for using the term half-baked, and maybe it's not fair, maybe it's a little hyperbolic, but the game, I think, could have used more time, and I think that these kinds of updates are ones that should have already been in the game, because what they're basically saying is like, well, Chapter 13's not good enough.
Story doesn't make sense because we didn't know how to tell us we're going to go in and shoehorn this and make a new cutscene to explain that.
It's totally different, and they are announcing this literally days after the game came out. So it's not like they had time to really figure this out. Like, I really feel like this was the plan the entire time. I think that they identified when they were trying to get the game out in time that like these things are incomplete or not done, and we have to fix them. And I think the story, I mean, from what I've been hearing, I played the game for 8 hours, 7 hours, something like that. And I don't really know what's going on in the game, and it doesn't seem like it's really that unusual. People are like, well, you have to watch the anime and the movie, and I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. So what you have to do is put into the game that people spend $60 for, the actual story of what the fuck is going on in the game. And I don't think there's any shame in them doing that, but I think it's a shame that it wasn't done out of the box.
From day one.
I think it's unfair to people that were so eager to play the game and bought the game day one and blazed through it, and then they're like, oh, well, you guys did get the incomplete version of the game. As it stands, this isn't expansion, DLC, or whatever. This is stuff that makes the game better and run better and look better and feel better and make more sense. And so I think that there is a difference. There's no shame in people supporting their games post-release like that, but what they're fixing seems like balance issues and story issues and QA issues that probably should have already been there.
I mean, the difference here is the fact of what you're saying. They're fixing something. They're not just adding to it, right? They understand there's a problem. They're going to it. When he's talking about, Sharon here talks about dev diaries, right? Or these little things. Those are added bonus content features. That's something get you interested in a game you already played and love. Whereas this is the problem of apparently people are playing Chapter 13 and it sucks the way it is. So why not go in and try to fix it and make it this way? And if you're using the word fix, dev diaries aren't fixing anything necessarily.
Right.
And even if there's an update and your patch is going through and balancing something out or doing this or adding that, it's not like that's what they would be selling you the definitive Game of the Year edition on. That's not what the excitement is. The excitement is the DLC. The excitement is the new content.
Agreed. So, I think it's great. I think Square Enix and Tabata and his team should be commended for doing that. But I also think that because I think they're taking an honest look at the final product, but it's supposed to be the final product. And I think that they're kind of in a way kind of full of shit. And I think that they should be called out on that. It doesn't mean that the game's not great and that people don't love it and that some people love it enough for it to be the Game of the Year. And I think that's all great. But it is, I think, valid to say, hey guys, when you delayed the game, you had this pretty arbitrary thing you said where you're like, well, some people don't have internet connections. We want the experience to be baked in. And so we need an extra 2 months to make the day one patch baked into the disc. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But then when the game comes out in November, it has a day one patch. And then what you're going to do, and then what you're going to do is just add a bunch of shit to it that requires an internet connection. So you were full of shit.
Yeah.
And it's okay to just say that. That was such a weird excuse anyway. And I said it at the time. So it's not a reflection on these people as people. It's not a reflection on the final product of the game. It's not really speaking to me, but I know it's speaking to a lot of people. But it's okay to both enjoy something and like something and then also question why it was done a certain way or why they're saying certain things. And that whole, no one has an internet connection. We want you to have the final version. Well, it didn't seem that important to have the final version of Chapter 13. It didn't seem that important to have the final version of some of these tweaks and tools that let people play the game again in a different way. So that's strange to me, and I think that should be called out. Number 4. It looks like Naughty Dog was teasing The Last of Us Part 2 right in front of our noses for months, similar to how they teased the original Last of Us and Uncharted: The Retrake's Deception without anyone noticing. Back in September, as a Reddit user pointed out, Naughty Dog released a poster of a girl's arm holding a dagger with imagery of butterflies and flora hovering around her arm. That butterfly and those plants happen to be Ellie's tattoo in Part 2's trailer, clearly tying the two together. Mm-hmm. So, thought that was pretty cool.
Very cool.
You guys can go look for imagery on that, but it's pretty obvious. I think Naughty Dog even tweeted out about it. So, that's exciting.
I saw Scott Lowe doing it.
Scott.
Community specialist manager dude at Naughty Dog.
Guy.
Community guy.
Number 5. Sony has released the top-selling digital games on PlayStation Network for the month of November. The top 10 best-selling digital games on PS4 were in order: Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, Battlefield 1, Final Fantasy 15, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition, Star Wars Battlefront, Grand Theft Auto 5, Watch Dogs 2, Overwatch, FIFA 17, and Far Cry Primal. The top 10 best-selling digital games on PS3 were in order: Need for Speed Most Wanted, Dragon Ball Xenoverse, Jak and Daxter Collection, Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare, Devil May Cry HD Collection, FIFA 17, The Last of Us, Minecraft, Pro Evolution Soccer 2017, and Mafia 2. The top 10 best-selling digital games on Vita were in order: Jak and Daxter Collection, XCOM Enemy Unknown Plus, Adventure Time, The Secret of the Nameless Kingdom, Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, The Sly Collection, My Name is Mayo, Sword Art Online Hollow Realization, World of Final Fantasy, Darkest Dungeon, and Gravity Rush. The top 10 best-selling digital games on PSVR were in order: Job Simulator, Carnival Games VR, Robinson the Journey, Batman Arkham VR, Until Dawn Rush of Blood, Oh My Genesis VR, Eagle Flight, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, PlayStation VR World, and Hollow Ball. And finally, the top 10 best-selling PlayStation classics were in order: Psychonauts, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, Bully, Destroy All Humans, Metal Slug Anthology, Red Dead Revolver, Dark Cloud 2, The Warriors, Dark Cloud, and Rogue Galaxy. Lots of level 5 love on
heartbreaking that My Name is Mayo charted higher than Taco Master did. But not surprising.
Well, they really shamelessly did that one, so it worked out for them. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Disappointed anyone played that game. Number 6. Capcom is feeling bullish about Resident Evil 7 sales. In a conversation with MCV, Capcom's Antoine Millant noted that this is Capcom's biggest release this generation, and that, quote, ideally we would love to sell 4 million on day one globally.
Damn.
That would be great. Looking at what we see in the pre-orders and trends these days, we're pretty confident we are going to get there. All the signs that we have seen across the market, whether it's from the UK or from other territories, are very positive so far. We're not sitting back and relaxing at all because we want to push that. The confidence is there, end quote. Resident Evil 7 is still due to come out at the end of January.
How realistic is 4 million?
I think pretty realistic.
Really?
Yeah. You have to assume... I don't know if it's on PC as well, but just on the consoles, I mean, you're talking about an install base of 80 million, so 4 million of a game like that. I mean, for instance, Final Fantasy 15 sold 5 million or shipped 5 million day one, which is great. It is worth noting that it seems like Final Fantasy 15's numbers in Japan are the weakest in a very long time. I think the weakest week one sales since Final Fantasy 5, but still very strong global sales. The sales in Japan don't really matter that much anymore. For that particular series, especially as they've westernized it. I think for this, Resident Evil 7 seems to have been westernized as well. And so I think that it will see stagnant sales in Japan, but great sales overall, because I think we haven't had a good survival horror game probably since so people love Soma. I think Outlast is great, but we haven't had a AAA style big budget horror game in a long time.
I mean, this is the closest you're going to get to PT, right? That was the thing. PT took the world by storm. Everybody loved it. Everybody played it. And then they had their hearts ripped out and stomped on it by Konami. So here you are, and you have a game that, for all intents and purposes, seems to be pretty good, seems to be on track, and seems to be scary in that fashion, let alone VR.
Intensive purposes.
No, I don't. No, I do not.
Still don't know what that means, intensive purposes.
Intensive purposes? Yeah. Well, these are very intensive purposes.
Number 7. Vivendi is continuing to gobble up shares of Ubisoft in a seemingly ongoing attempt to hostily take over the game.
Fight 'em, Eves!
Vivendi now controls 25.15% of the company, up from 24.06% of the company just last month. Vivendi notes in a press release that the company doesn't intend on owning all of Ubisoft or wresting control of the company. Website Gamasutra, however, notes that according to French law, if Vivendi passes the 30% own market, must make a bid for a controlling share of the corporation. This news comes on the back of word that 5 employees at Ubisoft in both France and Canada were fined $1.2 million for insider trading of the company, seemingly and apparently unrelated to Vivendi's actions. But these things are happening concurrent to each other nonetheless.
I'm fascinated by the story on the fact of what's going to happen to Ubisoft, Vivendi coming and doing this, but I'm also just always so interested in how slow the process is. I feel like we've been talking about this for months and months.
Yeah, it takes time for them to go find people that are willing to sell. I mean, I'm sure it seems like what Vivendi is doing is going and finding major shareholders and being like, you own 1% or 0.5% of the company, will buy it from you, and you just go down the line, and then you're like, well, look, we own more and more of the company. Yeah. This is what Kevin plans on doing to us, I think.
Oh my God.
His problem, of course, is that we own the company, and I ain't selling to fucking anyone. Well, I'll sell to someone.
I was going to say, you strike me as the guy who'd sell first.
We'll have to wait and see, won't we?
We will.
Number 8.
Parachute.
Call of Duty Infinite Warfare sales have been soft, in quotes, according to investing company Robert W. Bard, as relayed by GameSpot, a downward projection for Activision's annual sales behemoth. The company notes that sales are trending upward because of promotional activity in sales, but concludes that overall sales should be down 20% when compared to last year's Call of Duty offering, Black Ops 3. Interestingly, sales at retail should be down 35% in total, a number partially nullified by Infinite Warfare's strong digital performance, up 15% over Black Ops 3. So in other words, retail sales are falling off a cliff, but digital sales are increasing. Activision should still be pleased, though, as the company notes that, and by the company I mean the investing company, notes that expected worse sales this year should be further nullified by microtransactions and DLC, and that should make a dent in the lost sales.
Gotcha. What's the deal? We've talked about it overall.
Fatigue.
Right?
I mean, it's still going to be the best-selling game of the year, or one of the best-selling games of the year, very easily. But yeah, people are tired, I also think people are tired of that setting.
Sure. Is it also a mix-up of just how many other sequels are out too? How many games are out this year? Because this is a common thing we talk about, right? And sequels and how they're selling less than their predecessor. But you figure when there's a smaller market, right, it makes more sense. When there's more oxygen, Watch Dogs is going to perform. When it gets to dominate the market, when it comes out as Watch Dogs 1, and even though it's untested, people are excited for it. Watch Dogs 2, less so because there's a million other things to play.
I think it's a perfect storm of there was Battlefield, a mainline Battlefield, and Titanfall, though Titanfall 2 didn't sell any copies, or many copies, but Battlefield 1 certainly ate some of Call of Duty's dinner. I also think that it has to do with Infinity Ward going this year. They just don't have the praise that they once did. This is really Treyarch's kind of thing now. And I just think that there's just a lot of competition, and there's fatigue. I think that what's going to be telling now is next year's numbers. Now, if the numbers plateau from there, then they're steady. If they go down again, then Call of Duty's in trouble. And I don't mean that in a dramatic way because they still sell millions and millions of copies, but they're in trouble. because they invest a lot of money in these games.
Yeah.
And I think that at some point they're going to have to understand that they cannot keep doing this. And I think that it's Activision is one of the frankly just a completely shameless publisher in that regard. So I don't know that they really care, because then I think that they see other things like, well, like we have Destiny and other things, so we'll just run this thing into the ground,
Sure.
Until we can't run it into the ground anymore. And then eventually these 3 studios and Raven and all the sports studios will eventually start making other games. And that's what I'd be really excited to see is in the trio cycle, specifically with Sledgehammer. I assume Sledgehammer is making a Call of Duty game. Clearly Treyarch is, the first one that might not be able to make a Call of Duty game again. And I'd be excited for them to just make something else, a shooter, but just don't call it Call of Duty. I'd be interested for them to be like, this isn't a Call of Duty game. It's a Call of Duty game, but we're not going to call it Call of Duty.
We're going to take everything we learned and we're going to make our own story, our own thing, not have that baggage with it.
Activision has certain ways to go, but they're not treating their portfolio with a lot of
They're not doing what Ubisoft does, right? Ubisoft pumped the brakes on Assassin's Creed when they saw a dip, and they said, because originally it was, we'll keep making them as long as you keep buying them. People stop buying them. They're like, all right, cool, we'll take a break. We don't want to burn this out.
Yep.
And then, Activision is the company that turned down the Ghostbusters game because it wasn't annualizable, is what they said, right? And that's what you see with their big franchises.
It's sad. Got to treat your games with a little more care. Number 9, in case you're still following the Uncharted movie website, We Got This Covered reports that Mark Wahlberg, who was originally tied to the movie to play Nathan Drake, is no longer in the running. So that's that. Wahlberg told the website himself that.
Thank goodness.
And finally, the wrap-up.
Stop making this movie try. Don't just stop making this movie under any Yeah, I know. It seems like it's in purgatory along with The Last of Us. Great.
That's fine.
We don't fucking need these movies. We don't need an Uncharted movie. We don't need a Last of Us movie. The games are amazing. The stories are great. Yeah. Let's just let that be the thing.
I agree. 100%, Greg. 10. Wrap up. Dragon Quest Heroes 2 has a release date for Western PS4 gamers. It will launch on April 28th, 2017. The next game out of the boutique EA Originals line has been announced. It's called Sea of Solitude and is under development at Jomei Games in Germany. We'll hear more about that soon. Action stealth sci-fi game Divide is coming to PlayStation 4 on January 31st. The beloved Elite Dangerous is coming to PlayStation 4 at some point in 2017. And finally, roguelike FPS Strafe is coming to PlayStation 4 next year as well.
Colin.
Yes.
Divide looks rad. Have you looked in it? Have you watched the trailer?
A little bit, yeah.
It looks cool. I'm excited for it.
It gives me a Republic kind of vibe.
Right. Yeah, like exploring and narrative,
Which is another game I wanted to play, but
environment. I never did. But it's still so far away. The 31st of January so far. If I wanted to know what was coming to mom and grop shops today, both digitally and in the physical form, where would I go?
You know, the official list of upcoming PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, PlayStation Vita, PlayStation VR, and sometimes PSP software by the Kind of Funny co-founders.
We're
not on the same page today with the amount of energy and noise that you're making. But I respect you nonetheless. Bridge Constructor.
We rarely are.
Bridge Constructor, PlayStation 4, digital. Become an appraised bridge engineer and architect and bridge constructor. Create and design your own constructions and watch the vehicles pass over them, or see them fall and crash while your inferior creations collapse due to the laws of physics.
I started playing it.
You like it?
It's fine. It's like,
seems
whatever.
Like a Vita game.
That's the thing I thought, and then the trophies had a Vita listing on there. I do believe. Let me double check. But
we'll
I remember there was some Vita
we'll do that.
I'm right here.
So.
It's fine. It's gonna be okay.
I don't see it on here. Yeah, it does.
Yep. But no mention of it here on this thing. I noticed as well.
Don Bradman Cricket 17 comes to PlayStation 4. This is out on the 15th, so it is a Thursday release.
Who doesn't love some good cricket?
It says Don Bradman's Cricket 17 brings a new revolutionary control system, delivering the best batting, bowling, and fielding experience by providing you an even greater level of variety and precision of play. Motion capture first-class cricketers, including female cricketers for the first time, in all game modes. Drive comes to PlayStation 4 digital. It says Drive is a racing game unlike any other, where players must drive their cars to victory across multiple tracks at the same time. To place well in every track you're racing on, you're going to have to hop track to track on a regular basis.
Ooh.
Don't know if I'm going to be able to do that.
You really? You don't want to drive?
I don't really want to drive, no.
You want to Uber?
Yeah, Uber, eat, and sleep.
Gotcha.
And fuck. Fat City VR comes to PlayStation VR digital. It's out on the 15th. This is a Thursday release. In this action puzzler spread throughout the 5 boroughs of New York City, players will use their cunning and brainpower to plan raids and execute getaways to pull in the big bucks in the city that never sleeps.
Oh, you gonna get that in New York? You love New York.
I do love New York, but no, I'm probably not going to get that.
Gotcha.
Feist comes to PlayStation 4 digital. Feist is a multi-award-winning, beautifully handcrafted action game. It follows the story of a fragile little fur creature and its desperate attempt to rescue its mate from the Jesus Christ. Hiccups.
You gonna burp?
Nope,
You're throwing
hiccups.
up? You gonna die?
Let's try it again. It follows the story of a fragile little fur creature in its desperate attempt to rescue its mate from the clutches of a pack of malicious predators.
You don't play that one? You love mates.
The fuck does this mean? Her Majesty's Spiffing comes to PlayStation 4 digital. Is that like a... What is spiffing?
I don't know. Well, it's slang. I'll get to you.
Assuming command of the near futuristic spaceship HMSS Imperialize and her crew, you will venture into the cosmos, solving puzzles, engaging in witty banter, deal with crippling claustrophobia, gradually succumb to the sustained exposure of cosmic radiation, and so on, all for queen and country. All right.
This has it listed as an adjective.
Okay.
How spiffing you look. Excellent. Splendid.
It's not how it's used here as an adjective. Her Majesty's Spiffing.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I'm sure there's British people that will let us know. I Expect You to Die comes to PlayStation VR digital. I Expect You to Die is a virtual reality puzzle game that places you in the well-polished shoes of an elite secret agent. You must attempt to survive deadly situations in immersive and dangerous locales. Complete each operation using problem-solving skills and wits. Oh, and the power of telekinesis that all of our agents are equipped with. The Little Acre comes to PlayStation 4 digital. The Little Acre follows the story of Aidan and his daughter Lily, set in the 1950s Ireland. After discovering clues as to the whereabouts of his missing father, Aidan begins investigating until he inadvertently finds himself transported to a strange new world.
Do you think this is the prequel to Beyond Two Souls?
I was going to say, I was wondering, what's with people going to Ireland and telling kids stories? Isn't that
Song of the Deep as well? Oh, Marin did this. Oh, my shillelagh. Now I got it over here.
sorry.
I got spiff as a noun. Attractiveness or charm in appearance, dress, or manners. He may need more than spiff to get him through the bad patches ahead.
Still doesn't really make any sense.
Her Majesty's attractiveness or charm in appearance, dress, or manners.
Elizabeth II is hot.
You kidding me?
Magnet Knights comes to PlayStation 4 digital. It's out the 15th. That is a Thursday release. Magnet Knights is a competitive local multiplayer game. Each knight has the ability to magnetize on the walls, and the knights can attack each other with swords, arrows, and the mighty hammer, among others. Maldita Castilla EX comes to PlayStation 4 digital. It's out the 15th. It's a Thursday. It's Spanish, so let's try again. Maldita Castilla EX.
See.
Cursed Castilla, Maldita Castilla EX is an arcade action platformer full of creatures from medieval myths from Spain and the rest of Europe, as well as from chivalric romances. The game is an extended version of the renowned classic arcade Matilda Castilla, originally created by the indie Loco Malito. It's a lot of words.
A lot of words in there. That's what I was thinking too.
Telling you literally nothing about the game. Motor Strike Immortal Legends comes to PlayStation 4 digital. It's out on the 15th. That is a Thursday. A new action racing experience. Compete against your friends in a frenzied battle that mixes action and driving as you've never seen before.
I've never seen those mixed well.
Perfect comes to PlayStation 4 digital. Perfect is virtual reality escapism at its purest. Leave behind the daily grind and slip away to beautiful and relaxing locations made possible through VR. Visit several stunning and interactive destinations from sun-drenched beaches and peaceful mountains to the spectacular northern lights. Instantly accessible, yet endlessly captivating.
Ooh.
Stardew Valley comes to PlayStation 4 digital. You've inherited your grandfather's old farm plot in Stardew Valley. Armed with hand-me-down tools and a few coins, you set out to begin your new life. Can you learn to live off the land and turn these overgrown fields into a thriving home?
Can you, Colin?
Yes.
Are you going to play this one? You think you
Yes.
play a lot of this one?
I'd like to. I heard it's great.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a hit.
I like Harvest Moon.
Yeah, I enjoyed those for a while. My dog Nick96 writes in to kindoffunny.com/PSQ just like you can to get your question on the show and says, "Hi, Colin and Greg.
Hello.
I heard indie darling Stardew Valley was coming to PS4 this week, and I couldn't be more excited, except if it came to Vita. Ever since I heard about this game in the PC space, I knew I wanted to buy it as soon as it came to console. I just wanted to share my joy and encourage any fans of Harvest Moon or cartoony farm sim games to get it. I hope to see you all out on the farm. My dog Nick, 96. P.S. I love blowjobs."
Nice.
Well said, my dog Nick. I always appreciate your dynamite drop-ins.
Trove is the final game of the week. Comes to PS4 digital. Says grab your friends and set off for adventure in this free-to-play voxel-based action MMO. Whether you want to battle deadly monsters, explore wild realms, build new worlds, or just show off your style, Trove's got you covered.
Oh, good. I'm glad somebody's got me covered on that
That's
one.
it. No Vita games this week.
Sad. But a lot of games in general.
Mm-hmm.
Too many games, some would say. A lot of those games seem like they're not going to sell well because there's too many things happening, Colin.
Well, it's just, they'll learn.
Yeah. Worth pointing out, too, episode 5, Batman.
Yep, episode 5 as well, yeah. It's very
Comes out
exciting.
Tuesday.
Very exciting.
We can't wait.
Very excited about that.
Very excited. Are you going to get to it tomorrow night, you think?
I think so. I'd like to. I have dinner plans tomorrow. Gio Corsi is going to watch Lola.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring her over just to acclimate her and have dinner with them and make sure she's fine with Laverne and Carmine, his Boston Terriers.
Very cute, those dogs.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I was like melting with all three of them around me.
Yeah.
God, Boston Terriers are the best. They're just the best. They fart a lot, but they're the best. And especially, I love me some Carmine, but are you kidding me with Laverne? Are you fucking kidding me
Little
with
potato.
that dog?
Little potato.
My God,
Yeah,
dude.
very cute.
Just want to squeeze her. You know what I mean? Just want to squeeze her.
I understand.
So, so we're going to go there. So I get home a little late tomorrow, but that's the intention. That's the intention.
Colin,
Yeah.
time for topic of the show.
Dots.
We have several questions to discuss at length about The Last of Us Part 2. Let's start with Tom, 1993X, who wrote in to kindafunny.com/PSQ just like you can. It says, "Hello, Greg and Colin.
Hello.
It's been a few days since the reveal trailer for The Last of Us Part 2 was shown, and goddamn are we all excited. As two huge fans of the original, what do you think Naughty Dog were trying to show us in the trailer? I, for one, am a bit confused. It looks as clear as day that Joel is nothing more than a figment of Ellie's imagination, leading to the conclusion that he meets his death somewhere in the next game. Although predictable, why would Naughty Dog spoil this so early on in a game that's this big? Unless, of course, they want us to believe in this case. Personally, I would have preferred if the trailer ended after seeing the Firefly symbol, leaving a sense of intrigue for us to explore. Would love to know your thoughts on where the sequel might go. Thanks, and I hope all is well." Now I want to bring in, because I think it's all related, HTRX98 wrote in to kindafunny.com/PSQ just like you can. It says, "Hello, Colin and Greg."
Hello.
He said to wait for that. I apologize. Recently at PSX, we saw the announcement in the quick trailer for The Last of Us Part 2. My question is, what do you think of the story's theme being around hate this time? This is basically a direct contrast to the original Last of Us theme of hope. Do you think that this will completely change the feel of the original's game? I'm looking forward to this game, whether or not it comes out in 2019. Yours, Hunter Reed. So he's going off of the fact that the panel about The Last of Us Part 2, Neil said that the original game was hope, this one's hate. And then you bring it into how mad Ellie is in that trailer. And this is something we talked about briefly on our reaction stream, but really haven't delved into. What do you make of it? Do you buy this theory that Joel's dead and that's what she's going out to avenge?
No.
What do you think it's about?
I'm of the mind that it's so obvious that he looks dead in it that it can't possibly be.
Yeah.
Because why would they give that away? Unless the idea is that he dies in the interstitial period between games and we don't really see Joel, but I don't really feel like The Last of Us is complete without him. I think that, and we're going to spoil The Last of Us. I mean, you've had plenty of time if you haven't played it. I mean, that's really a travesty. But you've had over 3 years to play it. They looked like they were going to kill him in the original one, and I think that they probably should have. But since they kept him alive till the end, and for reason, the plot it's necessary for him to be alive. I just don't know that you can just do it again. And so I think that it's possible Joel dies in the game, but I agree that when I saw the trailer, I'm like, it's so obvious that it seems like he's not really there, that it could just be a memory or something like that, or she's thinking about him. They're distant or apart from each other for some reason. But I don't want to go down the road thinking that he's dead and he's avenging her necessarily. She's avenging him. No, she's avenging him rather. The one interesting thing that, we've had a lot of conversations with Neil about the game over the years, and both on shows and just one-on-one or whatever. And I know that one of the things that I walked away from, it's hard to talk about the creator, the person who actually knows the answers to what's going on.
Yeah.
Where like the ending, for instance, of The Last of Us, and particularly with the cure, I was always of the mind that there was no guarantee that the Fireflies were going to be able to make the cure. He basically said that is a guarantee. If I remember correctly, when we had him on the show.
Beyond when we did the spoiler
and
cast
I never got that, and that kind of ruined it for me in a way. Not ruined it. I mean, the game's great, but that kind of like that's not the notion I got. So I don't really want to talk to Neil too much more about the game.
Sure.
Because it brought out because it's his game and he's writing and creating it, but I have like my own notions about these particular things that I think are driving the narrative for me as an individual, which I think is the right of the consumer. But it's interesting that he talked about how the first game's about hope, because I didn't get that at all. I thought the game was completely hopeless. And so that's an interesting, it's about love, but it's not about, to me, it wasn't about hope. So that's an interesting thing to hear him say as well. that the first game's about hope and this is about like revenge or whatever.
Well, for me, it's through the lens of Ellie. And in the first one, she is hopeful. You know what I mean? Even though she's seen so much, but they're on this journey, she's still cheery. She is still that bright spot. She is still trying to bring out the best in Joel, let alone, coming along herself and then being the cure on top of all this. It's the hope of the cure. It's the hope of being able to save him. It's the hope of being a kid who isn't downtrodden by this life. And so for me, that in terms of the next one being hate, I think that that's the problem I have with the theory, right, of that. And if you've missed this online, right, clearly Ellie's killed all these people. She's there playing the guitar, and then Joel walks in. He looks like a ghostly figure. We never get a direct look at him, and it seems like he's are you really going to do this? And she's like, yeah, I'm going to kill all of them. It seems too on the nose in terms of, Naughty Dog is usually so good at keeping us guessing as to what's going to happen, right? Catherine Marlowe is going to be 400 years old. Your belief they were going to kill Sully, or desire for them to kill Sully, all these different things. I feel like it's so hard to nail it down that it does seem too direct, but it's also, for me, it makes sense as to what her motivation would be. And now, granted, they could take it in a different direction, but for me, it makes sense that the game opens and we've jumped ahead years, and it is Joel and Ellie, and they are being peaceful, and they're doing all these things, and the prologue to the real game is Fireflies coming back and wanting revenge and assaulting the base that you're living in, probably in the dam or whatever, right? Joel dying, Ellie making the thing that she's going to go get him, and she has this list, and she's going out on this mission. The thing, of course, is that you could plug anyone into that, but I just don't know if it would have the same impact, right? Maybe the game opens and Ellie has a new girlfriend. Ellie has a new best friend, and this is what happens. So the Fireflies come in and kill her, and that's or him or whatever, and we move on that way. And Joel is with her for this ride because he's Joel and he's ride or die. But I still feel like Joel isn't the kind of character that would ask that question. And maybe the relationship's changed as she's aged up. Maybe they're on different footing now, but it just doesn't seem like Joel would. Are you sure you really want to do this? If Joel didn't believe in the mission, I don't think Joel would go out with her or would let her go out if this thing. And so that's the interesting thing to wrestle with. But of course, we're wrestling with it all based on a few minutes. The thing that is interesting, it is the fact that one of the comments here was they would have been happy with the trailer ending on the Firefly logo on the stop sign.
I would have been too.
Which is what I thought they were going to do at first. And I was like, oh man, that sucks. I want more. And then it immediately went into more. But it is something that I don't think we're really talking about or fixing enough. The fact that the Firefly logo on the stop sign was then the Naughty Dog pin that they were giving out at PSX as well. I think there's more to that. And we're so hung up on is Joel alive? We're not hung up enough on what that actually means. Because I think I'm watching it through the lens of Ellie wants revenge on the Fireflies and doing all this stuff. But is that really what's happening? Is it that maybe she did join the Fireflies on this new Firefly ground, right? Or whatever, of where they are now and what they are and what their current mission is, and it's somehow directed at that. Because I don't know, as much as it's a foregone conclusion to Neil and me playing it and the other Fireflies, I mean, there's an argument to be made and would be an interesting scene to see play out of talking to a group of Fireflies of like, well, no, I didn't want to die, or we're not sure if it was going to work, so why would I put myself through that? And not Joel having explained that, obviously.
Well, this is kind of why I hate this kind of shit. Like, seeing very little bit of the game very far out. This game's not coming out until 2019 at the earliest. And now we just get to spin tales as they even just rev up really developing the game.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are like, well, they've been working on it for 2 years. I'm like, guys, they haven't been working on it for 2 years. That's not that's not, what was meant. They've been working on Uncharted. And so they had a small team probably exploring the idea and figuring those things out. But the game is so far away that we have now this little bit of information to spin ourselves into a frenzy over without really having any context. And I know that that's the idea, and that's fun, and that's good marketing, and that gets everyone hyped up in video games. But people have been asking me the question of like, well, why are you so excited about this? Because I was very excited to see this. I thought it was a really kind of brilliant red herring. I thought Uncharted 4's DLC was a super awesome red herring at PSX because it took Naughty Dog off the board, and they don't typically show multiple games from the same studio. When we haven't even seen anything from Sucker Punch in a long time or from other things, you'd expect that they would go first, or more from Bend or more from whoever. And what I liked about it was, that they got it on the board and like, we are really working on it, and it is very far away, but like we are working on it. And what's the difference? The honest answer is there is no difference. They shouldn't be showing games this early. And I don't, and it's the same thing I was saying with Death Stranding. Death Stranding is so far away that I feel bad for people that think they're going to play it in like 2018 or something. It's just not going to happen. And so like, to me, I look at this stuff and I'm like, this is tantalizing and it's fun. And I try to stop my mind at that point and be like, it's coming. there's no reason to read any more into this because you know that like Naughty Dog's so smart and so good at what they do and such a master of the bait and switch and master of the secret captain, master of all these kinds of things that there's nothing in that trailer that I think you could actually read into that is actually going to be real because like they're not stupid. They saw something like, oh yeah, people are going to think Joel's dead. Like, are they really just going to give that away? Mm-hmm. I just don't believe it. And if they did that, I feel like that's some of the most literal shit they've ever done with that game or that series, this kind of nascent fledgling series. So I see it and I'm excited, but at the same time, I wish that they stuck more to what we, to our maybe a particular personal protocol, which is like, just show it when you're a little more ready, because I would have been more excited to see that trailer 6 months before the game came out, as opposed to.
But this is going to get the full-blown Sony treatment. Like, this is going to be a Horizon. You know what I mean? This is going to be Uncharted. There's going to be preview event. There's going to be multiple preview events and different vertical slices and all these different things. And that's why I think that even if it is that Joel dies and that's the catalyst for it, they're going to be able to hide that. Where I think they're going to be able to hide it by showing part of the prologue. Oh, you're at base, and here you're being assaulted by fireflies, or if they want to just call them enemies or whatever. And then your next gameplay taste is, all right, Ellie's off on her own now, doing this, that, and the other, and there's no reference, to Joel's dead or whatever, and he has to move on that way.
My hope is that by 2018 we see a full-fledged E3 demo, the likes of which we saw in 2012, right, for The Last of Us. It was announced in 2011.
It was in December 11, yeah.
E3 2012 was when we saw them in the apartment building with the different HUD and all that kind of stuff, right? And they were like sneaking around. I hope that that's what we see in 18 months. Or more than that, it'll be like, 18 months from now or so. That sets a nice stage for us to actually start asking more tangible questions. In other words, I hope that with Death Stranding and with The Last of Us Part 2, that they both kind of just go away.
Sure.
Make the game. The team is now settling back over after on all the Uncharted support gets done. These guys are probably sitting down with this game for the first time the last few months, like as a team. Not, because again, I know that they've said like we started working on this 2 months ago or 2 years ago and stuff like that. And I'm like, guys, they've not been working on this game for 2 years in the way you think that some people are interpreting that. And so I want to see them, go away and figure it out. There's probably a lot of questions that haven't been answered yet on their own. And I wouldn't be surprised if the things internally that they're figuring out are going to change. Because the one cool thing that Naughty Dog has, which I think they've earned, is time. Sure. And there's going to be, I'm sure that there's some sort of internal gauge of when they'll be done with the game, but it's going to move.
Well,
and they never hit their dates.
They asked that on the panel, if they had a date or whatever. And Neil's like, we have something in mind, but we've learned our lesson and we're not going to put that out there because we don't want to disappoint people or make a thing about it.
So my assumption is spring 2019 and we'll have...
we're doing next week, our topic of the show is going through all the exclusives and laying them out on where it's going to be. For my own, to put it here while we're talking about it, I'm saying fall 2018 for Last of Us Part 2.
That would be nice, but
I think they're gonna be pedal to the metal, and I think they're gonna want to hit that point because it's such a big deal.
That'd be awesome.
We can talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about it because I don't think they even need it then. But that'll be an interesting episode. I'd love to be wrong. That's what I was saying to people about, people are like, why are you so positive that Death Stranding and The Last of Us won't be ready for... I'm sorry.
Can I? No, it's fine. I think somebody's talking to you about Death Stranding on the point you're about to make. Over on kindoffunny.com/PSQ. Metal Slugger, but he uses a 3 in there, so I thought I was going to go numbers, but it's Metal Slugger. Says, hi, Greg and Colin. It was a pleasure seeing you guys at the PlayStation Experience in Anaheim last week. The line was too packed for the meet and greet, but I did wave from a distance while in line for The Last Guardian demo. I appreciate all the work you do to entertain, inform, and inspire us. I don't have a question, but rather a comment regarding Colin's point about Kojima's Productions' marketing strategy for Death Stranding. After checking out the Kojima Productions panel on Saturday, December 3rd, they confirmed that the engine they are using for the game is partnered with Guerrilla Games, who are currently nearly ready to release Horizon Zero Dawn. I have to figure this game could actually be in 2.5 to 3 years max, since most of the assets for their code are shared, which is unlike the Fox engine for Metal Gear Solid 5, in which they had to build everything from the ground up. Regarding the danger of overexposing Death Stranding, I've watched YouTube pundits, including Yang Ye's analysis of the first 2 trailers released so far, and it is clear that the two are married together to make a larger point about what this game could be about, with themes in the vein of Interstellar and Stranger Things. There are too many parallels between the two that clue in on the premise of the game, and it appears it was always the plan for both to release within a close time frame to each other. I don't think that this is any different than the rest of Kojima's releases in terms of hype building. I think it was smart, well played, and shows that Hideo Kojima is continuing without Konami in perfect form. So I hate to disagree with Colin's point about them overexposing. Granted, I know he said they are close to overexposing, so maybe we're not exactly there yet. I would still love to see more gameplay at some point next year. Would love to hear your thoughts on what these two trailers together mean for the story and the release schedule of the game. Thanks. Keep up the great work. # Colin is still always right. Metal Slugger.
I don't have a problem with people disagreeing with me. And again, what I was saying particularly about Death Stranding, I'm way more bullish about in terms of that game. There's no way it's going to be ready anytime soon. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if that game came out in 2020. The thing about The Last of Us is that I'd love to be wrong about it. I'd love for your date to be right. I would love to eat shit on that because we need it. You know, like we want that game. I look at their release schedule though, and I don't see how it even fits at that time. And I don't know that that's necessarily their internal projection, but I have not talked to Neil even or anyone off the record about it. I don't even know. It's just, I look at it and I'm like, there was a time when let me back up. The biggest Naughty Dog turnaround that was the most impressive was actually Drake's Fortune Among Thieves, because it was at that point that they were still one team. And Among Thieves was such a quantum leap from Drake's Deception in terms of graphical look and quality that it was really amazing that they built that so quickly. And it was, and they did it in 2 years.
I was going to say 2 years. Right?
Now everyone's like, well, they did it with Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3. And I'm like, well, that's different because now they hired up and then split the teams in half. So really what ended up happening there was The Last of Us took 4 years, and Uncharted 3 with a team that was using the same engine now and really a similar asset grouping. Like, in other words, Uncharted 2 and Uncharted 3 look the same compared to Drake's Deception. That was less impressive. And the Uncharted 4-year development cycle with what I would assume was a split team but a smaller team tells me that the game is going to take 4 years to make, or at the very least 3. And I don't really believe at all that with Neil so knee deep into Uncharted 4, with Bruce leaving, Bruce is gone now.
Yeah,
Bruce is on a sabbatical. I just don't believe that this game has even entered full production. And so we don't know that. Hopefully I can talk to Neil soon on or off the record and get a better idea about that. But I'd love to be wrong. I'd love to say like 2 years from now we'll be playing The Last of Us Part 2, but I just don't believe it. And the thing that with Death Stranding is that Kojima takes fucking forever.
Right.
And that's a game where I don't believe for 1 second that game is in production. Like, I don't. I think that the game is that he's assembling his team, he's assembling his technology.
It's still a concept.
He's getting people to make in-game, and as he said with this, is that was running on PS4 Pro at 4K. They're figuring things out. And Kojima is going to take his time. And this is why I think that it was maybe an error, if this is true, about why Sony is overexposing him, because it's creating an incredible amount of hype for a game that is really far away. Like, I'd really be shocked if it was anywhere near being done before 2019. And that's fine. That's not a problem for them to take that long with the game. I think that they should take all the time they want. It would be a beautiful Last of Us style end cap to PlayStation 4's life cycle as we move into PS5 or whatever the fuck's in the future. You have to assume 2019, 2020, somewhere out there. But I don't understand creating artificial hype about something that seems to be so infant, like in its infancy, in its embryonic state. What I think would have been a stronger call for Sony, and what I would think would have been way more tantalizing and way more exciting and way more full of intrigue, is for them to have released, like, we have signed Kojima. The game is called Death Stranding. See you later. Maybe release one trailer or one little sneak peek at something, and then just go away for a couple of years, and then come out of nowhere in March, with a secret event reveal, people are invited somewhere, and then they show the game for the first time. I think that that's way more exciting than the way they're doing it now. I don't understand these long tail reveals, and that's what these are. I mean, we don't know specifically, like, Naughty Dog has proven that they can create games way quicker than Kojima can make games, and that could be the trajectory that Last of Us Part 2 is on, and I would love that. I would love for that game to be out in 2018. I think it'd be awesome. Be super excited about that. No one's gonna be more excited about that than me. I love The Last of Us. But Death Stranding is so far away. Like, it.
Yeah, that's what my prediction for next week is. It's far away.
And so, yeah, I don't know how you feel about it, but I think it's a mistake. I think it's silly. Now, if they go away now, I think that they can still preserve that intrigue. But if they keep going with this and they show something at E3 and they show, it's like, guys, like, enough.
No, I think you have to go quiet here because you've had the year now. You've had the year where you're like, remember how it was all screwed up. PSX ended awkwardly. Kojima couldn't come to the Game Awards last year. Okay, fine. Then it was a few days later, he's working with us. We're making a game. And so you had that they were riding that wave of goodwill and good intention and good news, right? And so it is that, all right, cool, this is where we're going, and then here nobody expects anything from him, and you look at it, and here it is, it's Norman Reedus, you know what I mean? It's not Silent Hills, but it's what we're doing. It's still him and I. Then they do this next one, they have Guillermo del Toro, and they're like, he's in it too, and Matt Mikkelsen. All right, cool, we have a cast, we have a thing. It's been a year of excitement, and now, you go quiet, and you do what you're seeing with everybody, like pretty much all the announcements from E3, right? Where it was God of War, Days Gone, and there was more Detroit. And now it's like, all right, cool, pump the brakes. We're not going to talk about them at every show. We don't need them every time. Where does it go? But it does become that thing of what you're saying makes sense. I think they will fade away. But then it's like Kojima, I have a 2-hour interview with Kojima on stage at RTX Sydney, right? I have no knowledge of what he's doing or bringing. I doubt he's going to bring a new trailer or anything, but he's still out in the public eye talking, right? And we're going to definitely talk about Death Stranding and what he's looking at and what he thinks it's going to be. But that's not the same as coming out and being like, all right, here's a new cast member.
Are you going to ask him about why Paul Bear is in the game?
No, we all know it's Guillermo del Toro. I do want to know with the name of the baby that keeps going invisible and hopping around.
Yeah, in the trailer though, like the way the trailers are designed, it's very Kojima-like, right?
Yeah, of course.
This shit takes time and energy, and I respect and appreciate that. And I'm not trying to squash excitement about these games. What I'm trying to do is set realistic expectations because I really feel like this generation has showed us time and time again on both Xbox's side and PlayStation's side that it takes way longer and way more resources to make these games on these consoles than people had realized because of the high level of graphical and technical fidelity is being achieved on these games. And so even a game that would take 3 years in the previous generation is now going to take 4. And like, I think that, as we go in on next week's episode, which we will record after this, about the timeline for the upcoming exclusives, I think that there's going to be a bigger spread than people realize for these games because
on my sheet right here, without talking about what games are on there, next year looks weak. Next year looks weak. I don't think you're getting the majority of these games you think you're getting next year.
And then if that's true, then why would you release The Last of Us in 2018 and so on and so forth, right? So those are like, I would love to be wrong. This isn't one of those like Colin was right, I'm trying to rub anyone's noses in it. This is like me being like, guys, like just don't get too excited.
Yeah.
Like if I'm wrong and then it sneaks up on you and it's lo and behold October 2018, The Last of Us Part 2, which I don't think is going to happen. But if that's what happens, then fucking A, dude, I'm wrong. It's great. Everyone's excited and it's snuck up on you. And as opposed to like going in with the expectations that like The Last of Us and Uncharted 4 were both delayed significantly. Mm-hmm. And you have to keep those things. The Last of Us was delayed twice. The last delay was not so significant.
It was like, a month or whatever it was?
And, as Bruce told us, that was the difference between a great game and what it was. Even if they set the date for 2018, they're not going to make it. I mean, that's my prediction. And just take your time. Both these, the thing about both of these teams is just take your fucking time. We don't need these games in 2018. I don't think we should get them in 2018. There's this whole stack of shit still coming out. And I don't mean that in a pejorative way. I mean, there's just a lot of shit coming out.
There's a lot of games.
And so let's see where everything goes. But I'm super excited about The Last of Us Part 2. I'm super excited about the possibilities of The Last of Us Part 2. And I'm really interested and intrigued and tantalized by Death Stranding, specifically because Kojima's mind is so unique and so strange that only he can deliver these specific kinds of games. And I'm glad that he's finally getting out of Metal Gear, which I think became a comic book at the end, and really lost what it was all about. I think it lost what it was all about games ago, not necessarily with 5, which I barely played.
That'll be the interesting thing about it, being a Kojima fan, being such a Metal Gear fan, is the fact that I don't know if, and I guess this is back to the argument I always make, that are we to the point where for a video game player, Naughty Dog making a game is similar to Scorsese making a film. You know what I mean? Kojima making a game is similar to Spielberg or something like that. Where on paper, I don't know if they're pitching me what Metal Gear had become. We got the fucking fireman and fucking young Psycho Mantis floating around and stuff like that. If that would have been, I would have been excited from day one for it. If it was just that and it wasn't Metal Gear, if it wasn't Snake, if I didn't think it was a continuation of that story. And I don't know. I guess I'm in the majority or the minority there because it did do fine and it did do well, and it wasn't like Metal Gear's name was bringing in millions and millions and millions of fans. We talk about that all the time, right? That like it was a subsect of people that actually cared about it. But I guess that this doesn't make any sense. I mean, right now that's the whole thing, is they're loading up this game that it can be whatever the fuck you want the gameplay to be, but it's got Norman Reedus, it's got Kojima. You have both a movie star then to push the actual game itself if you don't know about it, and it is a new IP, and then you have Kojima's name if you are an insider who cares. Anyways,
We'll see how it all goes. I will remind everyone that he did have the essence of Metal Gear in the first 90 minutes of Metal Gear Solid 5 and they let it go. And so that's what I'm hoping this game is.
more like the hospital. If you want it to be like the whole game like the hospital.
Scene.
Yeah, I think it'll be more like the crazy ass shit towards the end.
God, I hope
Not open world. I mean, not open world.
Yeah,
Go
please don't
replay
do
the
that
same
again.
missions, that kind of thing. But I think it's going to be fucking nuts, though. Back to the topic of the show, though, where we're still talking about this stuff. Gaza UK says, "Hi, Colin and Greg. After The Last of Us Part 2 announcement, it has been revealed that Bruce Straley is not involved on the project and is taking a leave from Naughty Dog. I know Neil Druckmann is a fantastic director, but do you think he can direct the same level of gameplay quality out of the sequel on his own? I'd love to know your thoughts. Thanks, Gaza. Royston, UK. I think he's going to be just fine. Bruce is great.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Bruce, didn't matter. Bruce obviously matters, but they've built such a team at Naughty Dog where I'm not concerned with someone else stepping into the roles or moving around doing this.
You guys don't understand with Naughty Dog in particular is that, we've known people that have come and gone from there, but it's not a place you go in a line of studios in order to get where you're going. That's where you go to end up, if that makes any sense. And so this is a team of A teams that knows exactly what it's doing. Remember that Neil Druckmann isn't writing the story alone. He's writing it with someone else. And my assumption is that's to put the writing creative duties on someone else so he can direct the game. So, I think that you can't read too much into Bruce. Bruce leaving sucks. Bruce worked on Uncharted 2, Uncharted 4, The Last of Us. And I'm sure that he has his hands on, or did have his hands in this game. And he's only going to be gone for a year. So it's not like he can't come back. And what I'm wondering is if he does come back when the game is ramping to full production, in which he will jump back in. I don't think that has beyond the pale either, or beyond the realm of possibility. So don't read too much into his absence, and don't read too much into Neil working alone because he's not. They'll be fine. And remember that The Last of Us already has its foundation. Drake's Fortune, for as much as it changed to Among Thieves, was the foundation for what Uncharted will always be. And with that solidified, that's, I don't want to say a lot of the work or most of the work, because it's not, but it's some of the work that's done already. We know what The Last of Us is. We know what that world is. We know how it works. And that probably solves some problems for them. And so I think that they're going to be just fine, and they can attract any kind of talent they want at that studio.
And that's the whole thing, though, is that what you're talking about. You go there to end up there, and you see people rise through the ranks, right? Like Kurt's doing the single player DLC, you know what I mean? Josh, obviously, too. But Kurt, I remember when I first met him, when he was just working alongside Ballard on random things for Uncharted, and then slowly seeing him take on more and more responsibilities to, now they're to a point where, okay, you can handle this DLC, we'll go do other stuff and worry about this. And I think that's the same thing with the Last of Us team and the people there, that they obviously are keeping people around, and these people work in The Last of Us, and they get the story, and they get what's happening, they get what makes Naughty Dog Naughty Dogs. There's no fear in that.
I think the bigger piece of excitement that we should all really start thinking about is now that Uncharted's done, and again, without it spoiling Uncharted 4, because I think it's a little too close to us for us to get too crazy with it. The way Uncharted ends suggests to me that it's not done, but done for now. What's exciting and tantalizing is what's after The Last of Us Part 2. We're going to get a new IP out of them. Probably, and it would be exciting if it was a PS5 launch game or something like that, but we're getting close to the point where The Last of Us was so unusual because it was new and we didn't expect it. Now that Uncharted is being, I think, soft retired, I think that would be a safe bet. What do we get from them now?
I think that's what's interesting about Bruce's sabbatical, is I bet he comes back with the next idea. I'm sure that right now they're don't get me wrong, pitching different things, trying different things. There's going to be a million things going on behind the scenes there that we won't know about for a long, long time. But I would not be surprised if Bruce came back and he's like, this is the game I want to make. This is what we're going to do. And that becomes a huge thing for them.
You're probably right. That's a good point.
Colin, Spookle Bean says, hi, Colin and Greg. I'll keep this brief because I just lost the much longer question I wrote trying to preview and check for errors. Anyway, The Last of Us Part 2, yay. But more specifically, this should mean The Last of Us Factions gets a sequel. I know Colin put some time into the awesome multiplayer in the first game, but what would you guys want to see in the sequel to Factions? Thanks for all you guys do. You made the 4-hour drive to my granddad's funeral much easier to bear. I even laughed during the journey, which was amazing to feel during such a sad time. P.S. I love you. Heck, I love everyone today. We love you, Spookle Beans. Sorry about your grandfather. You did like the multiplayer.
I loved it.
Is multiplayer coming back for this?
I would assume so. Now, that seems to be a directive with Naughty Dog, and it seems
Since
like
Uncharted 2.
they're getting data that people retain the games and they enjoy them. And I think what was so unusual to me, and I'll never forget it, in the months leading up to The Last of Us, when we started getting access to the game, when we were at IGN, I remember going to to Sony HQ in San Mateo like a month before the game came out. No one had seen the multiplayer yet. They weren't talking about it.
No,
and I remember coming
like 2 weeks before.
And
the
I remember
game came
coming
out.
back and being like, "Why?" I remember asking. David Ballard was one of the guys. I'm like, "Why are you guys hiding this? Like, this is good." And what it showed to me was, well, it's similar to the stories you hear about The Last of Us, about how their expectations were that it was going to be great, but not what it was.
Yeah.
That their sales expectations were eclipsed, that the critical reception was eclipsed from what their expectations were, probably from mock reviews and stuff. And when I saw it, I was like, you guys really don't, you have the special sauce when you make things, but you don't have the objectivity to understand what you have because you're so close to the game. And if anyone had just come in with a fucking brain and saw this thing when it was in development, they would have realized that this was like a really important part of the game. And that's what I didn't expect, was that The Last of Us is 95% that single player, but there's an important 5% of the game that is multiplayer centric. I played that for 45 hours. I mean, that's incredible. I mean, I don't play multiplayer games, and I really loved it. And I did it originally for the trophies, then I'm like, but I like this. Like, it's dark and it's methodical and it's fucked up and it's it has a bunch of carrots on the end of the stick of your survivors and feeding them and keeping them alive and all those kinds of things. You know, it's kind of like a meta game behind the scenes, and you can totally catastrophically fuck it up by picking the wrong, you know, like every once in a while you commit to a bonus modifier or whatever that if you fail, like everyone dies, and like you have to be very careful about what you're picking. And when you're picking it, if you go into a map of really good players randomly and you have this really hard to achieve thing, you're going to die and you're going to lose, you know, and that could happen 15 hours in.
Yeah.
So I don't know that they have to change much. I think a lot of it has to be, it's similar to Uncharted, like where I think in Uncharted 2, they hit on what worked and they just kept with it. And they made little tweaks and additions with 3 and 4, but just do the same thing, a factions oriented thing, maybe with a bigger meta story, maybe with a bigger meta game, maybe with a little bit more control over the meta game would be cool. I would like to them put all their resources as possible into the single player, and I would gladly sacrifice the multiplayer for 5 more hours of a single player game. I would have rather The Last of Us been 15 to 20 hours rather than 10 to 15. So, but that's not really the way it works. So I don't know that they have to add much, but I think that was, you know, going back to the story originally, I'm like, I was shocked by how much they were hiding it and how it clearly belied a sense at Naughty Dog and Sony that it wasn't as good as it was. And that just goes to show you that even the smartest people in the room don't understand, and they are the smartest people in the room. They don't understand what they have. Sure. And now they do. So it's the same thing with Uncharted 2. When they introduced multiplayer in Uncharted 2, they didn't make a massive deal about it. They actually made a massive deal about it with 3. And I think that you're going to see a similar thing with The Last of Us. You know,
well, now they know they have something that people like. There's a core group. They'll evangelize it, right? That they already do. But I think you really hit on the point when you started, the fact that it's important to them because I think it gives them something to talk about. You know what I mean? The more you see community teams like, you know, like Scott Lowe at Naughty Dog with Arnie and stuff like that, you want to engage your audience and talk to your audience and keep going. And if it's a single player game and it comes out and it just ends, there's nothing to talk about. You don't get to have the fun announcements of a PlayStation blog post talking about your new patch and these new outfits and this new mode and all these different things that keep everybody held over until there's the single player DLC, which I would assume will happen again since they brought that over to Uncharted 4 this time around. And then your next announcement of whatever the next game is. It's a way to keep this community going and keep your hardcore happy and keep them engaged talking about Naughty Dog and Last of Us and Uncharted and all these different things. Final question about Last of Us for this topic of the show comes from Kumail H. He says, "Hey, Colin and Greg, just a quick question regarding Last of Us Part 2. In particular, Ellie. Do you think she will have learned to swim after all these years?"
Presumably.
I think they'll make a joke about it because I think they're that smart. You know what I mean? Because that was the one thing I talk to people about all the time. But when you make the giant jump to winner and like you're playing, you get to your first pool and she jumps in, or you jump in, you're like, "I'll get the thing for you." I'm like, wait a second. Like when you guys were started off on this thing and there's a million things I totally get it. You've just made a huge passage of time and made a big deal about how much closer everybody is. At no point in any of these slow moments did he sit down and explain to her how to swim. There'll be a joke in there at somebody's expense.
Yeah, they're self-aware.
Yeah. Top of the show is brought to you by Jack Threads. When's the last time you ordered clothes online and got to try them on before paying for them? Never, right? Well, that's exactly what JackThreads.com does. With Jack Threads, you can try out any of their stylish tees, jeans, and more at home for free, and you only pay for what you keep. Such an awesome idea. Whether it's a big name clothing brand or the Jack Threads in-house line, you can be sure that you are 100% in love with the items you ordered before spending a cent. Colin, who's the most fashionable person at Kinda Funny?
Me.
No, Tim. And he uses this thing he likes a lot. He keeps talking about
I had a 1 in 5 chance of being right.
You were close. I would put you in the top 4 for sure. Instead of playing internet roulette and gambling on a new size or anything like that, just use jackthreads.com. Go to jackthreads.com and enter the offer code I love you, all one word, when you submit your tryout for 20% off anything you keep. That's jackthreads.com, code I love you, all one word, to save 20% on anything you keep. Never buy before you try again. Colin, I did a little bit of Chris Jericho there for you at the end. Let's talk about trophies.
Okay.
What do you got for me? What's been happening?
Let me go. I closed the window here. Okay. I think we'll have to look at Stardew Valley, of course. Let's see. What else is on here that is interesting? Not much. We didn't go over the Last Guardian trophy, so we can do that. That's really not necessary. No. Oh, Jesus. Sounds kind of violent. And we didn't go over Ark Survival Evolved. So let's start with Ark, because Ark and The Last Guardian are out. So Ark Survival Evolved, 3 bronze, 5 silver, 9 gold, 1 platinum. You survived a full day and night on the Ark is a bronze. You tamed a dinosaur and you rode a dinosaur, both bronzes. So that accounts for all the bronze trophies in the game.
Okay, good.
You, for silver trophies, of which there are only 5, you reached the maximum survival level. One of your dinosaurs reached maximum level. You rode on the back of a T-Rex. You rode on the back of a Gigantosaurus, and you personally achieved. Oh no, that's it. That's all of them. And then the rest of them are gold. So you achieved or found all the artifacts. You defeated Ark's first ultimate life form. You've defeated Ark's second ultimate life form. So a gold trophy heavy sort of game that people might enjoy.
It'll be interesting to see how many hours you got to investigate on that.
Probably a lot.
Yeah.
The Last Guardian, 9 bronze, 7 silver, 7 gold, and a platinum. As predicted, I said that there would be a trophy for beating the game in less than 5 hours. There is a trophy for beating the game in less than 5 hours, so you know that that's possible. There, interestingly, is a bronze trophy for beating it in under 30 hours, which seems like it would be almost unavoidable. Not that I know, I haven't beaten it, but it sounds like it's about 10 hours long. There's a gold trophy for giving Trico every single barrel, which sounds tedious as all hell.
Especially because he can't eat in certain places because he doesn't have an animation for it.
The Call of Nature is a gold trophy. It says catch Trico in the act. So pee-pee.
Trying to suck his own dick?
Pee-pee poo-poo, is that what it's saying?
Oh, no,
pee-pee poo-poo.
yeah.
You have to go pee-pee poo-poo. Pee-pee poo-poo. And finally...
No, I gotta. Is that finally the next game you're going to?
I was gonna go to Stardew.
Well, I want to check in with Maple Hamwich, who wrote into kindoffunny.com/PSQ and says, "Hey team, I had asked a question for the December 6th show, but it was obviously not a thing because of PSX Live, so I'm asking it again here. With the launch of The Last Guardian, I've seen much discussion about the controls and the implementation of Trico. Some people say that the clunky controls are a design philosophy to emulate the difficulty of a human moving in that world. Similarly, they say that Trico's unresponsiveness is a design featured, as mentioned by Ueda, to emulate trying to communicate with an animal. With that in mind, I call bullshit. I think clunky controls as simulation is just an excuse for poorly implemented controls. Similarly, I think the pet AI is a poor excuse for poor AI. Even if it's supposed to emulate an animal, it's very poorly done with missed opportunities and clever ways to let the player know the animal doesn't care or has acknowledged the command. What do you think of the quote-unquote controversy? Clever design, poorly implemented design, or just straight bullshit? This is what I said when I came in and started talking to you guys about it, is that this would be the lair argument applied to this. Well, of course the 6-axis controls don't work well in lair. You're flying a dragon. It has a mind of its own. No, I'm playing a fucking video game. If I tell Trico to jump and I'm at a fucking broken bridge, I mean across the bridge, not straight up. What the fuck are you doing? Do it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was so turned off by The Last Guardian's controls that I played it for about an hour and I'm like, I can't. You know, like the game literally feels like a PlayStation 2 game.
Yes.
It's as if Team Eco and Gen Design, whatever the fuck finished it just skipped an entire generation and a half. Just like, we still control like this. I know this is blasphemy to a lot of people, but it was the same reason why I didn't like Shadow of the Colossus that much. I appreciate it, and I wanted to, especially with Shadow of the Colossus, I fucking wanted to love it so much because it was so cool.
Yeah.
But man, was it obtuse. It was just so fucking obtuse. And I'm like, even then, games didn't control like that. So why am I, like, I told the story, I think on the Gamescast, that when it said hit triangle to jump, I actually started laughing.
Yeah.
Like out loud, because I fucking knew it. I knew that this game was just, and then I went very feudally into the menu and was like, I'll change it. And of course, you can't map the buttons. Yeah, press triangle to jump. That's the way we play video games. Triangle to jump. That is like, that to me is everything about my experience with the game, where I'm like, triangle to jump. It doesn't feel right. it's clunky. It's annoying. I don't find that fun. And I understand that I didn't give it that much time, but I just don't find that shit fun.
And no, that's why I did the same thing. Why I describe it, right? Frustrating, antiquated, pretty. Like it feels like an old game. It is frustrating. It's not fun to play. I was talking about this on Gamescast as well, where I sat down at PSX with a friend who works at PlayStation, and he was like, "Oh, Last Guardian." I'm like, "Oh, I don't like it." And we started talking about it. He's like, I understand where you're coming from. Don't, take it with a grain of salt. But I think you should keep playing because by the end, it does get a little bit easier. And plus, the struggle you go through controlling them makes you feel like you've... And I'm like, I can't give you that. I can't say.
It seems like marketing speak to me.
It's a fucking video game. I'm supposed to jump in and feel great and enjoy it. I'm supposed to enjoy every moment of a game. Or if I'm getting beat up by a boss and killed and coming back and getting a little bit stronger, that's a different feeling of frustration, right? And when you're frustrated because I can't make him go to the exact spot I want him to go to, and I know that's the answer, and I know what I'm supposed to do, but the game makes me try 7 different ways to finally figure out the one way I'm supposed to approach this problem. It's like, no, that's not what games are in 2016.
It's what I said, when I talk about adventure games and why I don't like adventure games, point and click games, why I don't like these kinds of games. I typically don't like them. Is because I don't play. It's like why I didn't even bother with The Witness, for instance. Like I don't play games to just annoy the shit out of myself. I just don't understand that. I don't know why. Like I like to annoy myself with mechanics. Now, what I mean by that is like Mega Man is one of my favorite games, obviously, and it's hard. It's a hard game, but you can overcome it by studying the game. It's not the game's deficit. It's your deficit. And I don't feel that way with any of Team Ico's games. And I feel like it's the game's deficit. Like Shadow of the Colossus should have been, in my mind, a great game. And I know a lot of people consider it one of the best games, and I respect that. I'm not saying that you're wrong. What I'm saying is that like it's just playing it got in the way, and that's the problem. Like I remember playing it for the first time of Shadow specifically and being like, why does it control like this? And this was like 10 years ago. Like it wasn't like we've come a long way, and I just don't understand how this game was percolating for so long and gestating for so long and in development for so long, and it just feels exactly from where it came from. It doesn't really make sense, and so after about an hour, a little bit more when I'm playing it, I'm like, I can't. It's not disrespect to them getting the game out, and I hope people love it. And I'd love to be in the minority on that because I hope you feel like you're getting a bang for your buck. But man, like I want games to be fluid and fun, and or at least feel like I'm not going to exchange an ability to play the game for emotional resonance. I'm just not going to do it. So because that's like saying like when you play Gone Home, which I think is one of the great games of the last 5 years, you go into the experience and you're like, well, like you're just walking around a house. It feels exactly the way it feels. It doesn't get in its way, so you can experience the story. I don't buy that particular excuse, and I think that's what it is. I think it is. I think they're excuses of why the game doesn't play better, and clearly it's a game that's tortured, and it's just miraculous it got out at all. And I said it on Gamescast. I was somewhat not shocked because I don't feel like I have the be all end all view of a game, and I didn't play enough of it to be able to review it, obviously. But I was surprised by how much people liked it.
Yeah, me too.
Just based on like my little piece of my little experience with it, I was surprised. And it was one of those things where I kind of tried to articulate it on Gamescast, but I don't think I did a very good job of it. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it now. Where it was one of those few times where I'm like, are people compensating in a general unbeknownst way subconsciously because people expect that they're going to dislike the game or that they hate it, and so they're trying not to hold those things against it because they shouldn't?
See, I think it might even go the other way, where it's, I think even if you didn't like, you're talking about Shadow, right? Not working for you, right? Shadow, I played it and I thought it was fun and it was fine. I didn't beat it. I dropped out. I'm like, all right, cool, I get it. This isn't, again, cumbersome controls. I understand why it's like that. I think in that sense, and especially for Time Capsule, what games are playing like there, especially coming out of Japan, especially after Eco. But I think it's been a decade of everyone in the world, not the world, but in the video game world being like, those are masterpieces. Those are amazing games. Those are amazing games. And you get this in your head that they're amazing games. And maybe you thought they were amazing games. So you get here and it is, okay, yeah, it's cumbersome and fucked up. And I don't like the control. The controls are cumbersome and it's just at least a little bit frustrating. But you're able to look past because it is a Ueda game. Shadow's cumbersome controls as well, but it doesn't matter. That's the game. That game's looked at as masterpiece. So clearly, I can look past it here if I develop this relationship with the cat bird dog.
I just wonder if people, were like holding it with like 10-year-old lenses or afraid to be too hard on it. you know, because in just controlling the game, I'm just like, but you know, there is no truth.
Exactly.
You know, it really is up to each individual person. But it was one of those times where I was confused, you know, because I thought it was going to be just fine, but I didn't expect it. People are giving it 9s.
Yeah.
Really?
Another
Like,
classic.
I just find that hard to believe. But to each his own. I mean, I say things about games no one believes too. So, but I'm glad it's out. It was a very surreal moment playing it for the first time. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And you know, looking at the title screen, it was surreal. Yeah, I was like, wow, it's really here.
Yeah, when we got to when I got to what was the first screenshot they ever released. And I mean, I so remember Roper freaking out about this. You know what I mean? Like, that's how long this has been to be at IGN and have Chris Roper, like, such a Team Eco fan, flip his shit to watch it. It was crazy that, okay, now it's actually happening on my TV.
I will say, in addition, that based on my short time with the game, I don't understand why PS3 couldn't run it. And that's the other confusing thing that I wish we just knew more about it. What I was saying before was that the game, the character, the boy or whatever, and the world typically doesn't look like a high-end PS4 game to me. Trico looks amazing. So there's a weird dissonance there, but I'm curious like why they had a problem making it run. Like I that's like one of my major. I think it's probably AI and stuff, but that's one of my major confusing points. But it's one of those games where I'm like, I feel like I should go back and play it, but I just know I just know that I'm doing it to prove a point.
Exactly.
As opposed
that's
to
me too. Where I'm like, I feel like I should too, because I shouldn't. But it's the same thing. It's just like, no, I don't have to live that life anymore. I don't have to go through and play something I know I don't like to feel like that's how I have to say I don't like it. It's not for me. If it's for you, great. You know what I mean? Like, we're not giving you a review. We're not putting numbers on. I don't have to worry about that shit. It's clearly not a game for me, so I can move on. Because I don't fucking play Dota to say I don't like Dota. I've tried, different things, different strokes. Just move on. Enjoy things. Colin, what are Stardew's trophies all about?
So first of all, it's worth noting that Stardew Valley's trophies appear for Vita as well. Some people are saying like it's a mistake. These things don't happen by mistake. With
the exception of Destiny.
With Destiny, but I don't even really believe that was a mistake either. Like I think that they were put it up in some fucking far-flung way we can get this game running. I don't understand how that happens by mistake. So I can't think of any other example. So they probably exist, and I'm sure people can tell us. But so my assumption is that the game they're at least going to try to bring it to Vita. Stardew Valley has 26 bronze, 10 silver, 4 gold, and a platinum. And from what I've been reading, it's going to be very, very hard to get the platinum.
Harder or is time consuming?
Well, time consuming.
Okay.
Very time consuming. So there's a gold for earning 10 million currency, 10 million gold. That's apparently going to be extremely hard, extremely time consuming.
Not the way I run my farm.
There's a silver for getting the complete museum collection, which is also apparently random. So that might be hard as well. There's trophies for relationships, getting 10 heart friend levels with, someone, 8 people, 10 people, 20 people.
Some ladies.
Cooking different recipes, 10 and 25 recipes, upgrading your house to the maximum size. There's a gold trophy for crafting every item. There's a gold trophy for shipping every item, because obviously it's a commerce game. There's a gold trophy for finding every star drop, which I think are collectibles. There's stuff for marriage and having kids and all that kind of stuff. So seems like a pretty robust game. I'm super excited to play it. I'm looking for something like this, I think. Not knowing for sure if I'm going to like it or not.
You want to tend to your fields. You can feel the wind blowing through your wheat.
Indeed, I want to feel the wind blowing through my wheat real bad. That's it.
We got a Dear Shuhei letter. It's been a while. Darren Lee wrote in and says, "Hi, Greg and Colin." Don't wait for Colin. He won't answer. Long time, first time. I listen every week, and this is a question I haven't heard asked. I am a PlayStation Plus subscriber, and I get free games every month on my PS4. I'm not sure I'm going to keep my subscription because the value of the free games has gone down significantly, in my opinion. But there are the occasional gems I would like to keep. My problem is this. Around this time of year, the PlayStation Store has quite a few good deals on some of these games I've previously gotten for free. I want to buy them while they're on sale so I can keep them after my PlayStation Plus subscription lapses. But alas, I cannot because it tells me I have already purchased them. This even occurred after I let my subscription lapse, which leads me to being unable to purchase or even play any of these games. Is there a way around this? Thank you both for everything you do for this great community. I love you both, Darren. That's a very interesting problem that I hadn't been heard of discussed, and I don't have an answer for you. I was wondering if the community of best friends does. Let us know at kindoffunny.com/PSQ. But yeah, that's totally fucked up. I never thought about that. Okay, I got the game through PS Plus. I've downloaded it. And now if I want to leave PS Plus, there's no way for me to get this game. I was thinking maybe what you could do would be to go onto Amazon if you can, if the game is available digitally there, or at a GameStop and get a card. Buy the digital voucher code for it. Redeem the digital voucher code. Even though you're going to go through it, you still, even if you have the little, and this might be outdated, but in the old days, even if you had the shopping bag on a thing you owned, you could still redeem another code for it.
Yeah, but what I was wondering was, so the quandary is the purchase option does not come back. Right? Is that what the whole quandary is?
Yeah, there's no way there's no way it thinks he owns it even when he outside
even when Plus lapsed.
Yeah.
That is a massive bug.
This occurred.
I was just trying to think. I'm like,
this
how is
even
that
occurred
possible?
after I let my subscription lapse, which leads me to the
So there's
unable
just
purchase.
no way to have it.
So I think if you bought it outside and brought in a code and did it that way, that might work.
It could be intentional. I mean, the idea could be that just subscribe again and you'll get access back to the game. Not that I'm saying that that's the right option.
Sure. Maybe it's not.
But depending on the price, I mean, like depending on how much the game costs, it might be worth it to just subscribe for another month and just play it. You know,
mm-hmm.
If it's a $20 game, for instance, and it costs $10 a month to go to PS Plus, which I think it is a la carte, then that's a better deal. So
Sure.
that might be their argument. But it seems like a weird. Well, it reminds me of Mark Ryan, our old colleague at IGN, used to wonder, why can't he buy a game that's free on PS Plus, even if he has PS Plus? I always thought that was an interesting thing. Like, in other words, he's like, I like this game X, I want to buy it. You can't. And I'm like, that is interesting.
I wonder if this gets into the weeds then of the deal they're signing, right? When Game X goes on to PlayStation Plus, PlayStation cuts that developer, that publisher a check, right? So that, okay, now you're compensating, you're taken care of. And maybe it's some kind of thing where Sony doesn't want them then paying the developer for something they've already paid them for.
Yeah, that could possibly answer that particular problem. The funny thing about this is that we've talked about this in the past, is that for as much as we know about the behind the scenes goings ons at PlayStation and other places, I've still not gotten many people, like I've gotten a few people to talk about like what it's like to, like what the deal is or how that works or whatever, but not the ins and outs of a PlayStation Plus deal. Like no one will talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'm like, what does the contract look like? What does it say? How much you get paid? Like how, like no one will say anything. You know, like it's I've never heard, have you heard anyone say anything about it? Like I'm curious what the number is. You know, like what
they pay you?
Like how much did what's a big example? Like how much
Rocket
did Psyonix get for Rocket League? You know, is it hundreds of thousands? Is it a couple of million? Is it tens of thousands? Like what is the idea? I've still not in 6 years gotten an answer on that, and I know Sony will talk about it. So
I feel like we've been on off the record dinners together where we talked to developers, and even then they're cagey about what they got on.
Well, because I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they're getting wildly different money, not numbers, sums.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Colin, I want to check in with the reader mail. I want to thank Jericho, of course, for assembling all the questions over on kindoffunny.com/PSQ. But since next week's episode doesn't have the regular les accoutrements, I don't want to burn a lot of reader mail. Let me give you one question, though. Some kid wrote in. Lots of kids wrote in. So I'm going to see what I got here, all right? I'm going to come up with something here for you, Colin. You ready? You ready, Colin? You going to rub it on you, Colin? What do you think, Colin? Who you know, Colin?
What do you know, kid?
Where you been? What are you doing?
What do you say?
I have a whole bunch of PSVRs, but I'm going to save that for next time. All right, let's keep with the PlayStation Plus. Let Live Joshua wrote and said, hey guys, do you think that if No Man's Sky was released as a PlayStation Plus game like Rocket League was, do you think it would have been or had any more success? Not saying that No Man's Sky is as good as Rocket League, and I know they're completely different games, but was just wondering what your thoughts were on that. I hope maybe it will become a PlayStation Plus game down the road, and people can try it out and see what's happened. Thanks, guys.
You have to assume it will be.
It's like, honestly, I think the well might be so poisoned on that you don't. Because what you're doing then is getting No Man's Sky back in front of a whole bunch of people who don't want it in front of them.
True. That's a good
people who
point.
are still playing it, enjoying the updates, whatever, that are fine, and what continues to come to that game. They're going to have to be the ones who are the evangelists and say, hey, it actually got a lot better, to try to speak to someone who isn't like blindly hating it. Because this is like, when you open up to that wide of a thing again, you get people who are never going to play it, but know that it's a joke and want to fucking poke fun at it.
That's a great point. That's actually a great point. I don't know that it would have netted out any different, to be honest. I think
it would have. I think it really would have. If No Man's Sky at launch was a PlayStation Plus game, I think people would have been way easier on it because I got it for free. That's not my kind of game. It's more of a Minecrafty thing, but there's not even that much shit happening in it. But I didn't invest money in it, so I'm not as mad.
I don't know. I think that it's one of those games. I mean, perhaps it would be more subdued, but I think that the tepid nature of the reaction to the game was somewhat universal, and not paying for it doesn't change the fact that the game is kind of like a turd, like in a lot of people's eyes.
I would say a dud.
And no, I think turd is probably the apt conclusion a lot of people came to with it. And I'm not saying me necessarily, because I only spent a few hours with it before I was like, again, it's one of those games where I'm like, I don't play games to be annoyed, so this isn't for me. And so I that doesn't change the material reality of that the game wasn't good, and that expectations were so high for it, again, because of all parties. That I don't know that necessarily changes because there was no financial investment. In other words, it seems like it was something that I don't want to say people were looking to be mad about, but it's something that people would have been mad about.
Well, if the hype train's still there, you would have still been mad about it. But I think this is where we get into the weeds, and you and I just don't agree on this. We did a No Man's Sky talk. I don't think the game is bad. Like, you know what I mean? I think we're getting into what we always talk about, where like explore the scale, right? Is it mediocre? Is it empty? Is it not doing this? Is it not doing that? Is it not what people were promised? Of course, people have those arguments. But like, I still enjoy No Man's Sky. I think objectively, especially putting aside all the marketing bullshit and playing the game, there's something there that might not be for you, but exploring the universe, scanning these things, doing whatever. Like, it's not broken. It's not bad. It's not sub 5. You know what I mean? Like,
it's boring.
For you, yeah. But I mean, like, that's the thing where it wasn't for others. But then again, like, that narrative is lost by the fact that the real narrative is that it overpromised on everything and didn't deliver. And that's where it gets weird, where I don't think, where I'm like, I think dud is a better term for it than turd. Like I
just want to call it a turd because I haven't called anything a turd in a while, and so I feel like it's a word that needs to be brought back into the lexicon.
It's time to get fucking turds back into this.
The lexicon must be flexed.
I'm sure at least 3 of the games on the drop this week are turds.
No one will play 3 of the games on there, so I'm sure that we'll never know. But yes, the 200 people that buy one of those games, will have some interesting feedback.
Words for us on that one. But yeah, I think it's an interesting argument. I think the anger and general bashing from people who not even necessarily played it, I don't think it would have been as bad if there wasn't an investment in it. It would have been there, of course, because again, they've been waiting for this game forever and ever and ever, but who knows? Colin, you ready to meet your new best friend?
If I have to.
This is PS I Love This Best Friend XOXO. It's where one of you writes in to kindafunny.com/forums, becomes the friend. We read your PSN name, or in this case, Twitter, and then you hit that person up with messages of love, try to friends them and do this. This one is an interesting one, right, Kyle? Because it comes from our friend Rahul over in the UK. Hi, Greg and Colin. Firstly, it was awesome meeting you both and Tim at PSX 2016. I live in London, and PSX was my first games convention outside of the UK. I've been a long-time listener/watcher of your content, so it was great to see you. I'm writing in because I want to try to help out some of the best friends that attended PSX and were trying to collect all the PSX collectible cards / those that missed out and want sweet collectible cards, and I need your help. From what I could tell, it was designed to be impossible to get them legitimately, i.e. queuing up and playing demos at each booth. However, I was fortunate enough to nab a complete set thanks to my charming British accent. Oi, governor! As well as a few duplicates. So, I was hoping you could help me house some of these duplicates and give away some games. So basically, here's what he has, Colin, in his arsenal. He has the Bronze Trophy card number 41, PlayStation Experience 2016 card number 42, Farpoint card number 52, Yakuza 0 card number 55, Dreadnought card number 59, Pyre card number 61, Full Throttle Remastered card number 62, Eater? I don't remember this one. Eater?
I don't know.
EITR, maybe that's an abbreviation, card number 65, Everything card number 67, Watch Dogs card number 73. He also has a bunch of North American game theme avatar codes that he can't use because of his EU account. He has the PSX PSX exclusive dynamic theme. 5 premium avatars for Games of Glory. The theme for Gnog. The Farpoint avatar, the Windjammers theme, $10 in PSN store credit. Alloy avatar for Horizon Zero Dawn. Well, it's not Alloy though. What is it? I always get this one. Aloy. So stupid. No, you're right. Aloy's right. The DLC for the PSX Legend Pack for MLB The Show. He has Headlander, Day of the Tentacle, Mother Russia Bleeds, and Stealth Inks. He wants to give these to you, best friends. So you need to tweet at him at Rahul _. So RAHULAHOOP_. Hit him up. Tell him what you want, and he's gonna draw at random to find out who gets it. So that's a PS I love this best friend who's giving back. And I appreciate that. Good job, Rahul. And good news, Rahul. Your giveaway of codes was brought to you by Sherry's Berries. Now, the other day...
I remember this.
Yeah, you heard the story?
I don't know about the story you're about to say. I just remember that we dealt with this at some point in the past, Sherry's Berries.
Oh, sure, okay. The other day, I got a UPS notification that we're getting a package at the house. And I was like, oh, crap, awesome. I got to the house, no package. Looked around, you weren't there, no package. I'm like, this isn't good. They left it at the door and somebody stole it. And I started freaking out, and I was Googling around what it might be because it was like 6 pounds. I was like, oh my God, was it hardware? Did somebody send us some kind of weird thing? I don't know what it was. And then I came back, and it turned out they put it on our other neighbor's step. They put 2 boxes of Sherry's Berries, which I took in the house and ate, and they were delicious. What is Sherry's Berries? It's chocolate-covered strawberries that you can get shipped, and this is an easy Christmas gift for you to lay on one of your family members. No matter what you're shopping for, Sherry's Berries is the one-stop shop for everyone on your list. You don't have to battle the crowds to get the perfect gift. Freshly dipped strawberries from Sherry's Berries starting at just $19.99. That's over a 30% savings. Or double the berries for just $10 more. You just need the code to take advantage of this. The code, of course, is XOXO because it's PS I Love You, XOXO, right? So with Christmas right around the corner, there's only one way to get this amazing $19.99 Sherry's Berries deal and help support our show. Just visit berries.com. First off, shout out to you for getting berries.com, BERRIES.com. Click on the microphone in the top right hand corner, type in XOXO. Sherry's Berries has something for everyone and every taste. Go to berries.com, click on the microphone and type in XOXO to order today. Colin. Let me tell you about this week's Forgotten PlayStation game. It comes from Super Cerberus. Super Cerberus says, hey, Grolin. I've got a suggestion for this week's Forgotten PlayStation game. It's a game that came out around the launch of the PS4, but I don't hear a lot of people talking about it. I'm talking about a fun little 3D platformer named Knack. Knack is a wonderful experience that's fun for the whole family. Kids will be entranced by the quirky characters and gorgeous art style, which honestly puts Pixar to shame, while the hardcore audience will be pulled in by the surprisingly tough and deep combat. It runs buttery smooth, it has a charming script, and the level design is better than Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I just feel like no one has any concrete thoughts about Knack one way or another. This is a shame, because it's probably the best first-party game that Sony Studios ever made. Well, besides Little Deviants. Thanks, Super Cerberus. Your Forgotten PlayStation game, Knack.
How could you forget?
How could we forget? Time for PSN's worst name of the week. This one comes from Wes. Wes writes in and says, hello, Greg and Colin. So I have a funny PSN username to share. During PlayStation Plus of January of this year, one of the games offered was Hardware Rivals, which was awful. Don't ever play it. And 2 of my friends and I were trying to platinum it. We learned that one of the trophies is beating your friend's leaderboard score. So my friend makes a different PSN account in order to quickly boost for his trophy. His name was Cuckleberry Finn. However, we didn't know that he had this idea to make a new PSN idea. So when we both got friend requests saying Cuckleberry Finn would like to be your friend, it was uncomfortable but hilarious. As a reference, it's to the cuckold fetish. That's cuckold, all one word fetish, which is watching your partner getting fucked in front of you by a different person. Also, best friends involved listen to this show, so it'd be a nice surprise if it was selected. Wes. I'll let you know, Wes. It only got selected because of you explaining what cuckold was there at the end.
Heard of it.
Yeah? You a fan of it?
No, it's a little disturbing.
Okay.
But to each his own.
Exactly. If you didn't know, this is PS I Love You, XOXO. It is kindafunny.com's PlayStation podcast. It is the #1 PlayStation podcast in the world, and it posts every Tuesday at 9 a.m. Pacific time on youtube.com/kindafunnygames and podcast services around the motherfucking globe. Thank you for your support. Listen to the other shows.
Slamming the table.
I'll do what I want. No one can stop me.
Like,
no one can stop me. I use my fists to make points
me
about
use
toys.
fist make point. Toys.
Subscribe to the channels, listen to the other shows, do all that stuff. Rate us, love us. We love you. Have some happy holidays.
Rate us, love us.
That's what it's got to be.
Jesus.
Bye, everybody. Thumbs up the videos. Do whatever the fuck it is you do on the internet to make internet content go to your friends and family. Maybe not your family, unless your mom wants to know what cuckold is, which would be like your dad's friend fucking your mom in front of your dad.
And your dad liking it.
Yeah, your dad would like it. This isn't like against anybody's will. Anyways, every episode of PS I Love You XOXO ends in a song in a segment we call Singing a Shoehey. This is where one of you talented motherfuckers goes to kindafunny.com/PSM and you give me a song you made. I need an MP3 to put at the end of our MP3 and a YouTube video to annotate to at the end of our YouTube video. This one comes from Sonorith. Sonorith. He spelled it out at the end there for me, so I wouldn't fuck it up. But still, it's a weird name, so I fucked it up. Hello! I recently discovered PS I Love You XOXO, and I'm loving every episode so far. Colin and Greg, you guys are hilarious and make my early work hours much more bearable. I am a composer and aspiring game designer, and have been making music for nearly 2 years, which I intend to include in my first game. And I hope I can share it with you and all the best friends on your show. A strong point for my music is that it was all made using Little Big Planet 3's sequencer tool. And what better music to play on your show than music made with a PlayStation game/console? I strongly hope you consider my song for an upcoming episode, or, barring that you listen to it, enjoy it on your own time. I did listen to it. I did enjoy it. Sonorith. Weird you didn't put... Yeah, I mean, it's just a download link you gave me, right? There's no way... I can't send any of the people to it. There's not even a YouTube link. I'm just going to have to annotate to whatever the fuck I want for the YouTube link, you know? But the song's good, and I'm happy to play it. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our pleasure to serve you.